Yo, what is up, my gamers in Christ? How are we doing today? Today is the date of Friday, July 10th of 2026. We are back at it again with another day of debates. You know how it is. It's a little loud right there. My apologies. My apologies. Excuse me. Anyways, today we are back with another day of debates. I hope you guys are doing well. Earlier I was watching Soypill and Pisco's stream, so shout out to the Soypills, shout out to Pisco. They've got some cool debates and streams going on right now. We appreciate you. What is up, that crow guy? I love crows. Crows are incredibly smart animals. As a matter of fact, they can remember your face, they can remember who you are. We love the crows out here. We really do. Anyways, we are here to debate with MAGA and /or anybody who disagrees with what I have to say. I am but a humble liberal trying to make his way out here in this vast sea that we call the internet. And I am just trying to spread a positive message for the future. You know, a lot of people, they do this thing that I like to call grievance politics, where they don't actually provide any solutions and all they do is just complain. I try to fight against that as much as I can, because that's not a healthy way to think about the world. What's up, Trash Juice? Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Anyways, if you guys support what I do here and you want to help out the channel, consider buying a membership. Memberships are a great way to help support the stream. And also, we'll be doing a debate review tomorrow with, well, I'll be by myself, but we'll be reviewing a debate that Pisco and, Dev engaged in with Admiral Gibbs and this degenerate loser named Stream Riffs. He really took an L that debate, so I'm excited to review that with you guys. And again, it will be members only. The first 30 minutes should be live, but after that, it will become a members only live stream. Also, I will be making it non-monetized so we can even play copyrighted music. Isn't that amazing? Also, something else to note is what we will soon... Hey, how are you? I'm just checking to see how you are doing. There's no guarantees I will be staying in the chat room. Chat room says something wrong way. I'm going to cuss them out. Well, that's okay, Kayla. I'm totally cool with you cussing them out. Good to see you, dog. What's up, Daniel? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Anyways, before I said what's up to Kayla and Daniel, I did want to mention that we will have a new stream goal coming here soon. Now, we'll be keeping the Rightoid of the day, but we will have a entire day goal for both the morning and evening stream that if we hit it, we'll be going on TikTok debate panels. So I'm getting that set up. And I'm super excited for that too. You know, we gotta spread our wings, as the kids say. I actually don't know any kids that say that. But we gotta spread our wings. And also, something else just right up the top to talk about is that if you guys have any debate panels that you want to see me on, send them in the Discord, send them in the Discord, and you should be, or I will take a look at that and see if, it's a good idea to go on those debate panels. I, unfortunately, well, never mind. I don't do TikTok, I don't do Instagram, because it's not, people can actually hack your stuff before you even say. Same thing with Discord. Oh yeah, no, you're totally fine. I'll always be streaming to YouTube, but I will have like a little HUD that appears and shows you guys where I'm what panels I am on TikTok and stuff like that. So anyways, that is in the works. It's not coming out until probably next week, but yeah, that should be a great way to drive new viewers and all that. Listen, I am not for the Great Israel Project. I don't know where you got that idea from. I believe in a two-state solution, my friend. And something tells me that you might be what we call an agitator around these parts. Now, what is an agitator? An agitator is somebody who makes like a fake account, or it could be a real account, and just tries to spread misinformation to ignite tensions. So an example of an agitator would be AIPAC Society. Something tells me they don't actually believe that AIPAC is a good political action organization, but they're gonna try to spread propaganda and all that. It's very unfortunate, very unfortunate. Personally, if it were up to me, I would have already gotten rid of Citizens United and not allowed these major political action groups to exist. But unfortunately, we do have a large amount of Republicans that love that PAC money. They just love it. And the reason I say it's Republicans and not Democrats is actually pretty simple. Republicans don't support repealing Citizens United. Democrats do. It's really that simple, ladies and gentlemen. And once you boil it down to that, you really start to understand. It is the right versus the left being the good guys, the rights being the bad guys, unfortunately. They both take the money, not nearly as in high of amounts as Republicans do. It's actually very disparaged if you look at the amount of AIPAC funding for Democrats versus the amount of AIPAC funding for Republicans. It's pretty obvious to me that the Republicans take far more advantage of it than the Democrats do. Anyways, feel free to call in if you guys disagree. My number is right there. They both take the money. Well, then you should probably vote for the side that's saying we want to get rid of the money, right? Because if they both take the money, it's on an even playing field. At that point, you have to look at what their policy positions are. And Democrats' policy positions are that they want to get rid of Citizens United and also put bans on individual contributions to political candidates. Either submit to Turks or perish. I'm alright. I'm not going to submit to Turkey. I appreciate the offer, but I myself am not a submissive individual. Now, if you go into the MAGA live streams, you'll probably find a much more submissive individuals, but I'm not a sub, unfortunately. Anyways, guys, feel free to call in if you guys disagree. Feel free to like and sub if you guys are enjoying the stream. I do 2 shows every day, one in the morning and one in the evening. Open borders, illegal immigrants! So our border was never quote unquote open. And I support legal immigration. I do not support illegal immigration. Unfortunately, you guys just don't accept the reality that we're in, where people need, like, there are a lot of undocumented people here. Around, last time I checked, about 12 million. And if your solution is to just get rid of everybody, it's not a realistic solution. You're not going to get rid of everybody. The worst part is they don't even bother hiding it anymore. It's as if they're proud of it. Just bought a whole fleet of BMWs. These guys are corrupt right to the bone. Yeah, I mean, there are corrupt politicians. Unfortunately, it happens a lot more on the Republican side. And when we do have corrupt politicians on our side, you know what we do? We kick them out. Look what happened to Graham Plattner. Look what happened to Eric Swalwell. Oh no, Kayla, I agree. A lot of people do not have the but they do not have the ability to decipher. Anyways, sorry, I was reading a chat message. Anyways, if you guys are enjoying the stream, do not forget to like and subscribe. Hey, what's up, Emmy? Good to see you. Dude, seriously, your side is signed the Nick Shirley Act to make it a felony to investigate fraud. That's actually not what the act did. What the act did was prevent people from harassing daycare centers and Medicare offices. That's what it did. It doesn't stop fraud investigation. And my side, isn't that funny? My side. As if California Democrats represents all of the Democrats. You know, there are a lot of Democrats like me that live in these rural communities that could really benefit from Democratic policy. Unfortunately, the Republicans have just tainted the name of the Democrats with outright lies, unfortunately. Medicare is the highest expense the federal government has. Yeah, I think it's great too. We need to expand it. I do think that's good. Yeah, that's great, man. We should spend more. See, unfortunately, what Republicans don't realize, this is actually the difference between a Republican and a Democrat, a liberal and a conservative. A conservative will see amazing programs like SNAP, Medicare, Medicaid. They'll see that. They'll see all the people that it's helping. And then they'll see one person not doing the right thing. And they'll say, that right there is the reason we have to cut this program. And a liberal will see that and say, that's bad, but we don't need to destroy the entire program for that. That truthfully is the difference between a Republican and a Democrat. They borrow to spend. Our interest rate is $1 trillion a year. That's not an interest rate, my friend. An interest rate is like a percentage. Are you an interest rate cost? I don't even know how that makes sense. Anyways, feel free to call in and tell me why I am wrong. I would love to hear my fellow Americans' opinions, thoughts and opinions. Listen, I love my country, ladies and gentlemen, and I just want us to do as well as we can. Unfortunately, the Republicans are full of unpatriotic scumbags that, instead of actually moving our country forward, just want to pull us back. The interest on the debt is a $1 trillion. Yeah, okay, I already read that. You're wrong? Okay, well, call in. Prove me wrong, Professor Chadwick. I'd love to hear how I'm wrong about an interest rate being a percentage rather than a number, an actual financial figure, if that makes sense. Actual monetary value. There we go. Somebody doesn't understand interest rates, and that's okay. You know, our government is very complex and there's a lot of moving parts, so feel free to call in. Can you save a drowning man if you're drowning yourself? So this is something people don't like to hear, but it's unfortunately the truth, is that you're not drowning, okay? Now, our economy is getting worse, and that is directly because of Trump's actions. But listen, my friend, we are not nearly to the level that we were during the Great Depression or even during the 2008 financial crisis. Now, we are getting there, unfortunately, due to Trump's horrible policies, but when Biden was in office, we were doing great. I absolutely agree, Democrat gonna have to clean shit up like Obama did with Bush. Oh yeah, it is just ridiculous. How much, you know, the one good thing Trump is doing is showing all of the one good thing that they are doing is showing all of the flaws and loopholes that we need to go and fix in 2028. AOC 2028. Listen, I like AOC. I think she's a badass. I think 2028 might be a little early for her though. I honestly want her to be Senate Majority Leader. I think that'd be super badass, and I think she has a route towards that. For 2028, I would prefer someone like Mark Kelly, just because Mark Kelly seems to really want to bridge the divide between, well, not necessarily even bridge. He just is an American, you know. he seems like he'd really have America's back, if you know what I mean. Mamdani for king? Hold on, Petone. We don't do kings here. Jamie Raskin? Ooh, I like that idea. Jamie Raskin's a badass, dude. Trump Jr. for president? Oh, you want the world's cocaine supply to instantly disappear overnight? I don't think people would appreciate that, my friend. I don't think a lot of Americans would appreciate that. Well, if Don Jr. gets in office... Could have called me? Oh, well, thank you, Kayla. I appreciate that. Sorry, I haven't been on... I'll message you after I get off tonight. And I'll send you a message on my personal. Yeah, it looks like Veritas here trying to get rid of the world's cocaine supply. Barron Trump, unfortunately, I don't think he is the right age. I don't think he is the right age, and he won't be for a while. Also, I mean, that guy has something weird is going on with him. Do you want more on Zamdani? Well, his name is Mamdani, Zoran Mamdani. I think Zoran is a very cool person, and I think he is doing really good things, but he's good for New York. I don't think what's good for New York is good on the national level right now, but a lot of people seem to like Mamdani, so I mean, hey. He's a Muslim? Yes, he is. Is that a problem to you, Carl? I thought we lived in a secular society where your religion doesn't matter. Last time I checked. Now, who knows? Who knows? More water fountains? Fuck yeah, let's get more water fountains out here. You want a Muslim nation? So what about Mamdani has made it seem as though he wants to implement aspects of what you would say are Sharia law? What has made you think that? Carl! You know, like the famous Walking Dead. Loved Walking Dead. Until the end. The end kind of got weird. That's actually not true. Adin Phillips, that's not true, believe it or not. See, it's so sad that, like, people that support Trump now, they're so afraid. They're so afraid to debate that they just have to hurl the very accusations that are levied against Donald Trump. Watching Archer right now? Hell yeah. I remember Archer was pretty good. That's when Captain Skibbity Indian Toilet Riz Edgelord God Ohio level 1000 can save us all. I did hear he was announcing his candidacy. Captain Skibbity Indian Toilet Riz Edgelord God Ohio level 1000. I don't know if he has the votes to beat his rival, unfortunately. Bernard Sanders. Hell yeah, dude. Bernard Sanders. That's my favorite politician, Bernard Sanders. It's like a more milquetoast version of Bernie, if you could even get that. Listen, Aiden, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings so bad that you have to levy accusations that have no basis in reality. And I think the fact of it is that they know that their dude is in trouble for all of that stuff. Am I white? I'm not sure, actually. I'm not sure. See, the issue is I don't see color. So when I look in the mirror, guys, it's just a blank slate. I don't know. Am I white? Am I black? I have no idea. I have no idea. I have no idea. All right, Adam, you're gonna get kicked out. Ah, so sad. So sad. I don't want to pay for snorkeling. Well, you did. You're paying for snorkeling. I am a blank slate. Exactly. In terms of my race, I'm a blank slate. I see no color, ladies and gentlemen. So please tell me how brave I am. I think I deserve that, right? I deserve to know how brave I am. Democrats are dumb as hell, Bubba. They want nothing but problems for Americans. See, that's not true. I don't even think Republicans actively try. Well, some of them do, but I think most Republicans and Democrats are just your average people trying to make things better for us. Have I got people muted? I don't think so. Maybe, though. Yep, Trump #1. Hell yeah, Triogi. I swear, I've heard these names before. I've heard a couple of these names. It's kind of interesting. Why can't you see color? Colorblind. Well, I am just such a holy individual that I see no race. I see no color. I'm kidding, by the way, guys. In case you were wondering, I am joking. I am joking. I can see color. But I don't base my opinions on people because of that. Are not popular with more moderate Democrats. I think the only way that the Dems get their crap together and stand firmly against what's happening is if the Dem Party has a significant left-wing percentage. I mean, hey, I have no issue with our more leftist brethren being in our party. I truly don't. All I ask is that you work with us, you know? All I ask is that you work with us. If you can do that, then I am more than accepting having Kayla. Anthony is our friend. Kayla, sweetie. Anthony is our friend. What is up, everybody? Hope you guys are doing well. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the stream. It really helps out the channel and gets me boosted out there in those algorithms. I do 2 shows every day, one in the morning and one in the evening. So if that interests you, don't forget to like and subscribe. Yeah, Kayla. Anthony is our homie. And so are you. Anyways, guys, feel free to call in and tell me why I'm wrong. The Muslims are using you to divide the country. I think the unpatriotic Republicans are more interested in that, personally. I haven't seen any evidence, like, of an Islamic movement trying to take over my party. Am I seeing... Maybe I'm not seeing the right thing. Maybe I'm not seeing the right thing. By the way, Republicans and Democrats are both corrupt? That's not true, my friend. The Republicans are far more corrupt than the Democrats, and it's easy to see just based on how much money they take from political action organizations. The only way we defeat the percentage of our government trying to become autocracy is if we work together. Amen. Amen. And hey, if the DSA candidates have that, then I'm playing ball. You know what I mean? I'm personally very excited. I'm very excited to see the results of having these DSA candidates in our party. So I, for one, am not upset about that. Democrats rigged their own primaries. I mean, half of these Republican states, they don't have primaries either, but, you know, it's okay. Or they have primaries that are extremely unfair to non-incumbents. So, Carl, that's interesting that you mentioned that. So let's see, Pelosi made like $200 million, right? Somewhere around there. Donald Trump has made 10 times that. Okay? No, Kayla, he was just saying you can call in if you want to. But don't worry, Kayla. Billions. Yeah, billions, dude. That's how much Trump has made. And also, hey, Shavila, shout out. California is at an economic plus right now. Don't worry, they'll just say that's all fraud or something. Trump is not a Democrat, my friend. It's very obvious he's not a Democrat. I mean, come on. What are we doing here? I see that cope a lot. And I actually heard that idea was astroturfed by somebody who faked being a Republican for a long time. So, shocker, right? Shocker that they believe in misinformation. What a shock. Republicans are corrupt. Democrats are just as corrupt. If you say otherwise, you are not honest. Well, call in and debate me. I'm sure I'll kick your ass on that point if you want to. I would absolutely stomp you into the ground if you had if we wanted to have a both sides debate. I'm actually very excited to be talking about the debate that I'll be reviewing tomorrow, which you can attend if you buy your membership to the TGDEU, both the Elite Gamer Club Pass and the TGDEU Member Pass will allow access to our members-only stream happening tomorrow, where I would usually do my 10:30 p.m. or a.m. stream. Dems are the problem more than the Republicans. John Thune is a traitor. No, John Thune understands that bill is that Save America Act never gonna pass. Never gonna pass. Even if you broke the filibuster. How sad is that? That your dude drafted a piece of legislation that is so bad, so toxic for the Republicans that they don't want to pass it. You don't even have enough votes. Then Republicans, you've never lived in California. So what would be an example of corruption in California? I would love to see what you guys are talking about, because I've looked into most of the corruption cases in California, and as a matter of fact, they don't hold any water. Let's take for example the hospice fraud, which Nick Shirley highlighted in his shit documentary. That had already had a moratorium put on it from Gavin Newsom. Anyways, folks, feel free to call in and tell me why I'm wrong. We've got a lot of cope in chat, unfortunately. Cope is real. All the politicians have ruined America. Yeah, I bet. Would you support having one party rule? Would you support having one party rule? Is that what you support? Like, when they say the politicians are the issue, it really just excuses Donald Trump's egregious behavior. No, not all politicians are corrupt, man. As a matter of fact, most of them are representatives of the people just trying to represent their constituents. Now, I personally think there are systemic issues. Whoa! This guy over this said women shouldn't vote. What a fucking weirdo. What a chud. The political views are swayed by greed. Now that I do to a certain extent agree with, but that's why I support the Democrats, because we support getting rid of Citizens United. And we also support a variety of other systematic benefits that would help our democracy. For example, so cool that I've watched you for 30 minutes and you haven't said fascist, racist, Nadia, or white supremacist. Your views are refreshing. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I would say that there are some points of fascist, like, aspects to what Donald Trump is doing. I'm not going to deny that, but you know, I want to work on actually making our country better. And I think there are lots of ways we can do that. For example, good point. Yeah, for real, Terry. Why shouldn't women get to vote? It's so stupid. Hey, what's up, Rochelle? Good to see you. Thanks to my gifted Elite Gamer membership, I'll be watching that debate. Thanks again. Hey, shout out. I really appreciate whoever gifted her. I think that might have been Shavila. Shout out. But there are systematic problems with our democracy, and a lot that I point to are, for example, the filibuster. For example, the House needs to be uncapped. I think that with the House currently being capped, representation is so much harder, because instead of like 30,000 to 50,000 constituents, now a representative of the House has to represent 800,000 constituents. And that's not good. I need to breathe. I forgot about that. Sometimes I do talk a lot, but you gotta breathe. Dude, shut the fuck up. You look dumb atsy. I don't know what that means. What does that mean? What does that mean? Anyways, if you guys are enjoying the stream, do not forget to like and subscribe. It really helps out my channel. I am a young fledgling liberal just trying to make his way in this vast, vast sea known as the internet. Truck driver Justin, that's a weird thing to say. Just a weird... I have never seen that video, so that sounds like something that is a personal experience, and if that's the case, I don't want to talk to you. That's weird. Am I pro-socialism? Not really, no. I am a liberal. I do think certain aspects of our market could benefit from a publicly owned option. Like, for example, insurance and a few other things, but I am not for public ownership of the markets and the means of production. Personally, I haven't seen any real evidence that it would benefit the American existence. So anyways, if you guys are enjoying the stream, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you disagree with anything I have to say, feel free to call in. My number is right there. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Anyways. Yeah, shout out to Rochelle. I really appreciate you stopping in. Your channel. What's up with my channel? What's wrong with my channel, ladies and gentlemen? Democrats showed me firsthand how they could destroy a state. Ladies and gentlemen, I find it interesting you say California is destroyed when they are the biggest economy in all of America, one of the biggest economies in the entire world, mind you, and are running at a positive for this year. I don't get it. You debate them, you can't make people feel... Well, I usually do. I give exactly what other people give. So if somebody is being snobby, if somebody is being rude, I'm gonna give that back. And thank you for the advice, but I do think I'm doing fairly well for myself, and that's because I got an amazing community here. But thank you. Do I live in America? Yes, I do. I live in the middle of America, Kansas. Best, most beautiful state there is. We have the best sunset, and it may be because we have a lot of dirt particulates in the air, but that's okay. That's okay. Democrats love R-wordists and illegal alien PDFs. Well, would you give me an example of like one that we love? Because I don't support that, and I know I am very much an advocate for releasing the rest of the Epstein files. I don't know if Trump supporters can say the same. I don't think they can, actually. Bigfoot MW? Are you a Bigfoot channel? That makes me interested about your channel, bro. Let me see. Do you have evidence of Bigfoot? Oh, never mind. Never mind. Disappointment. Disappointment, ladies and gentlemen. I thought I was going to see a Bigfoot channel. We need to have another conspiracy theory episode. Those are typically members only, but yeah, I need to do another one of those. Those are super fun. Have you guys heard the theory that Bigfoot is a time-traveling being from the fourth dimension? Email about got killed 10 years ago? Oh, okay. Thank you, Kayla. Mothman is the best. Yeah, I'd agree. Mothman is pretty cool. Mothman is pretty sick. Bigfoot is your stepdad? Oh, wow. Congratulations, Bookie Buster. That's some huge news right there. Foot? No, just the big orange foot that resides in the White House? Well, I don't think his feet are big, you know. Don't insult Bigfoot that way. Don't insult Bigfoot. Oh, well, I'm sorry, Kayla. I hope you change your mind. Release the full unredacted files and convict each and every one on the list and offenders and bring them to justice. Amen. Amen. Nothing is big about that man except his yap flapping. Oh, I know. Did you guys see, apparently the Islamic Republic of Japan shot missiles at us. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? The Islamic Republic of Japan! Ah! Not the Islamic Republic of Japan! I had no idea there was a sect there. You know the Japanese, historically very Islamic. I'm best all time, okay? Thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah, we lost the war so hard we converted the Far East. I know. I love this world Trump is creating. And then he called Vladimir Zelensky Putin. How bad are you at your job that you mistake Zelensky for Putin? Anyways, folks, feel free to call in. You know, I think that it is very important that Americans have good political disagreement and healthy political disagreement. I always give back what I get. So if you're being rude to me, I'll be rude to you. But if you're being nice, if you're being respectful, I'll return the same in kind. I think that is very important. He said that taunting him. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure, truck driver Justin. Why don't you just say that he was wrong? It's like this guy is fucking the best person in the world to them. It's like they treat him truly like an idol. MAGA have become Trump's submissives? Yeah, they're major subs in that relationship. All Democrats are pussy bitches. Yes, coming from Narrow Road. Something tells me that's not the only thing narrow. Ayo! You know what I'm saying? Anyways. Host is a world male submissive. What does that mean? A world male? Yeah, and we've got a lot of but Bidens here. Very sad. But Biden! Listen, I'm sorry you see Biden in your nightmares. I'm sorry, okay? Autopen! Means you like all the gays? Well, I don't discriminate towards homosexual people, and I'm bisexual myself, so... Sorry I'm not a bigot, I guess. Feel bad for them. feel bad, you know? Feels bad, man. That was iconic. Thank you, thank you. Two parties is not the reason for our problem, my friend. It's one party that is respecting the rules of our democracy and one party that isn't. So, a lot of both sides people, and that's because people that voted for Donald Trump are realizing now, okay, listen, man, I could give less of a fuck about an earthquake, okay? A lot of people argue that Biden was terrible anyways. Yeah, dude, Trump isn't doing any better. At least Biden didn't bomb Israel? I think you mean Iran there, but I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Anyways, don't forget to like and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the stream. It really does help out the channel and get me boosted out there in the algorithm. I do 2 shows every day, one in the morning and one in the evening. So if that interests you guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, tomorrow I will be doing a members only episode where I review a debate between Pisco Dev versus Admiral Gibbs and Stream something. I already forgot his name, but so you guys will be getting to see that here soon. Listen, I'm not a communist, and Justin, I'd say you're far less patriotic than me. Whoa, Kayla. Well, you know, I feel bad for them because I feel as though they were sold a bunch of lies. Oh my God, if I hear this, we don't have a like, imagine how childish you are that you can't even accept the form of government you're in. What is a republic? Oh, it's a democracy where you vote on representatives. Oh, got you. How you feel about the showers with dad, Ashley Biden? Well, I'm actually going to heart that you sent that because that's actually a really stupid talking point. So, number one, she never made a complaint to people about Biden showering with her. But number two, that diary was illegally seized by Republicans. So, technically, in a court of law, none of that diary would be submissible. Dude, what's the CERN Collider stuff? You know anything about it? Is there news about the CERN Collider? I haven't heard any news about the CERN Collider. Let me see. Was it shut down or something? Yeah, I don't see anything coming up about CERN. Did they finally rip a hole in our reality? Did we finally do it? They're shutting it down and making it bigger? Well, hey, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, brother. I like smashing particles into each other. Anyways, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Even Democrats know their party is done for. What are you talking about? I've never seen our party more active than it is right now. Listen, it's a lot of like sad insults and disses I'm seeing. Nothing really that big. Am I still shadow banned? Yes, I am. Unfortunately, I am still very much shadow banned, but that's all right. For a long time, we were getting up there in the 100,000s of views, which, hey, I appreciate. But something to note is that we're already up to 43 likes. So this is going to people that like my content, and I really appreciate that. Why are Republicans the ones always shouting our government? Yeah, I mean, I wonder that too. That's a shame. Let's riot if we get out of the shadows. Well, here's what I plan on doing. I'm diversifying my content. So it's not just live streams that people can find me. So I'm actually I'm okay with it, you know. I'll be streaming if it's to one person or if it's to 1,000. So I'm all right with it. No, for real, the Democratic Party is over! No, it's not. You guys are so lost. I swear, it's so sad. Trump got in, but I realize some countries don't even have clean water. Yeah, unfortunately, there are a couple countries like that. I recall we were going to chat about that maybe later. Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. You can always message me and stuff like that. Yeah, exactly, Angela. We're always growing. See, the Democratic Party will never truly die because we diversify our ideas and we have a wealth of great candidates to choose from. What's unfortunate about the Republican Party is they've put all their weight, all of their time into one party. And I think that's sad, or into one candidate, one person. And that would be Donald Trump. Anyways, if you guys are enjoying the stream, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Trump spends all his time on Twitter arguments and reading gossip. Yeah, he really is the gossip president, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's sad. Dems literally don't have a single one. I noticed you didn't read my full comment. The Democratic Party is over. So is the Republican Party. Yeah, I disagree. I just completely disagree. Thank you for the $5, though. I really appreciate that, Duke Dookie. And now we are only 3 super chats away, or 3 gifted memberships away from being able to do the Rightoid of the Day, which it's been a while since we've done the Rightoid of the Day. We've gotten close, but I think we really got a shot here today, ladies and gentlemen. And if you missed the announcement earlier on in the stream, I will be making a new dono goal to go on TikTok debate panels. And so throughout the day, you guys notice that I have 2 streams, one in the morning, one in the evening. And so that'll be like a daily goal for you guys to hit. So shout out. Shout out. Hey, thank you so much for the floating heart. I really appreciate it. Throughout history, the diverse left has helped dictators get control of a country. Were purged? No, that's just not true, my friend. Coda, I'll be honest, man. Some of your chats are like real stinkers. Duke Dookies, if you will. It's always we, them. Have y'all ever tried seeing anything on the other side? See, I love this, Cope, because it usually comes from MAGA, who are super unaccepting of other people and super bigoted themselves. I did just see somebody, an unknown number, called in. If you want to recall, you can. But something tells me that's not true. Think it's obvious the party that kills baby and can't. Oh my god, this guy, he's still complaining about cancel culture. What year is it? Did I get transported back to 2020? We should now be calling MAGA comments Duke Dookies. I actually like that. And Sunsecticide, if you agree with that, then you should. I mean, I want a more reasonable Republican Party. Unfortunately, right now, the Republican Party is captured by people that are extreme and don't want to work with the other side. Anyways, feel free to call in. I see a lot of cope. It seems like not a lot of MAGA wants to call in today. Israel, what did you want me to say? Yeah, Israel. Did you know I actually I have a comment. I have a soundbite about Israel. Here, let me get it for you. I love Israel. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, I love Israel, guys. Oh my goodness. So much anti-Semitism, it's crazy. Anyways, feel free to call in. I know there's a lot of cope in chat right now, a lot of sad men not able to satisfy their work relationships, their partners, all of these things they are not able to achieve, which I think is sad. But that's all right. That's all right. We're going to try to get them going right. More conservative, less government and people's business. The government shouldn't dictate your religion or personal choices. Yeah, I agree with that. Totally. Where is the Israel video? Couldn't find the pro baby killer video. What are you talking about, bro? God, I swear we have some real schizos that come around here these days. Just research what happened to... Yes, I know. They were killed by the radical Islamic sect. Listen, I'm not a leftist, bro. Well, I am on the left, but I'm not like a communist. Jesus. Hey, shout out to Shavila gifting Object-M4Z a gifted membership. We appreciate it. Who's winning the World Cup? I have no idea. I'm more interested in the battle bots arena. Are they afraid to call in and give their take on JD Vance? Listen, JD Vance, he is talk about uncharismatic as hell. Talk about uncharismatic as hell. Spain? What's going on in Spain? Spain's a great country. Beautiful people. Beautiful people. After helping Islamists. Okay, but do you think our conditions are the same? Do we have a king right now, Coda? Are we not the most powerful country in the world? And also, do you think our leftist sect is being actively violent towards... Like, I'm not advocating for a revolution. Like, I swear, people like Coda will try to blurry the lines, try to make it as opaque as possible what people on the left actually believe. I don't want a revolution to happen. All I'm asking for are some systematic reforms. That's it. Oh my God, we had a king during the Biden administration with the COVID mandates. Oh my God. Victim complex up the wazoo. Trump told the rest of the EU not to talk to Spain. It was funny. I think he thinks Spain is the same as Mexico. No, it's even worse. See, what the issue Trump has with Spain... Hey, thank you so much, Jen, for the gifted sub. Giving Reality Check a gifted membership. Thank you so much. Thank you. You guys are awesome. We're now one away from being able to hit our Rightoid of the Day goal. Thank you so much, Jen. Hey, shout out to Jen and Shavila. They're both in the Discord. Super cool people. And if you guys want to join the Discord, let me give you... one moment. Let me give you my Discord link real quick. The Discord is where you find all things TGDEU. You get to know when I'm going live. You get to know when you get to participate in community events. I have a daily or a weekly Discord day, which I just announced today, where if you want to talk to me and be less combative, you can join the Discord call on Fridays and we'll have a good conversation. So there it is. If you guys want to join, someday you'll catch that bouquet, Anthony. Hey, don't worry. Someday I'll be able to actually gift memberships myself. Who the fuck said yeah to the poll? Yeah, that's crazy. 21%. This is how insane MAGA is. 21% of MAGA want to get, or it's an even higher percent. They want to give money for a snorkeling trip. That's insane. Yeah, seriously, that's ridiculous, bro. Anyways, it is a lot of cope today from the right. Not a lot of calls. A lot of cope, not a lot of calls. By the way, good to see you, Mr. Good Citizen. Hope you're doing well. I did. Cash Patel deserves a fishing trip. What? With taxpayer money? I don't think so. Coda, why are you soying out like that when I haven't blocked you at all? I've allowed you to spread your disinformation far and wide, and I have not banned you. What's going on with that? Hey, what's up, High Inquisitor? Good to see you, man. Did I not announce that I'm live in my Discord? I don't think I did. What a fiend I am. What a true despot. It's actually despot. I don't know why I said despot. What a true despot. I am evil. All right, real quick, I'll let everybody know. We are live. There we go. Now the people in my Discord know. A little late, but what are my thoughts on God? I'm not a Christian, but I have no issue if you worship Yahweh.
Call from
Sean.
Hey, what's up, Sean? How are you doing today?
Doing good, man. What about you?
I'm doing well. So did you disagree with anything that I've said on the live so far or with the prompt?
I just jumped in and I saw what was written down in the phone number.
Yeah.
And I disagree because
Okay.
I don't think that the Democrats are going to fix it.
So do you agree with the first part?
Yes, the Republicans have
Okay.
screwed it up.
Got you. So I just asked that because I need to know where you're coming from, right? So what would you say your political stance is? Are you more conservative, liberal?
I am a constitutionalist.
Okay. So that doesn't really help answer personally because I would say the constitutionalists are much more liberals now than it is like I'm assuming you mean like you're a conservative minded, in terms of you want to conserve the Constitution, but this Republican Party is not interested in our Constitution, so
Definitely not.
yeah. So
I
yeah,
I
I think I
truly
know where you're coming from. I think I know where you're coming from.
I truly believe that I'm going to get into it here, but I don't believe that man should be able to govern man.
Yeah,
I
so
think that,
you don't believe in America then?
well,
You don't believe, so
I,
you don't, do you not believe that? See, this is like very anti-American, and you said you're a constitutionalist, but the Constitution lays out very clearly and plainly that man is the ruler of man and that there should be no tyranny. So, how do you sit these two ideas in your head? On one hand, you believe in divine rule, but on the other hand, you believe in the Constitution. I don't know how you mesh those together.
well, I would have to say that the Bill of Rights protects us from totalitarianism. I mean, wouldn't you
No, the
agree?
Constitution does. No, yeah, the
Or
Constitution is very clear on its limits of power and to what extent the ruler of a country can rule, essentially.
well, then, dude, you know what? Shit, dude. I mean, you know more than I do. I'm
No,
just
no,
calling
don't say
the No, dude. Hey, straight up, man. I've listened to you a couple of times, and it sounds like you got a really good head on your shoulders. And
Well,
um,
thank you. I
but
appreciate that, man. Well, I
uh,
don't want you to think you're dumb though. Nobody is dumb,
no,
okay?
I'm
Like
I'm just
everybody has their own special areas where they have intelligence, and so, don't beat yourself. I talk about this every day. So, you know what I
well,
mean?
yeah, yeah. Well, I'm sick and tired of these ruling class people who you know get followed and worshipped by all of these blind individuals who will look past all of the evil things that are happening,
Mhm.
and it, it's
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous.
demagogues, right? They're basically
You know what I mean?
demagogues. I know
Yeah.
exactly what you mean. That is a huge issue I see in American politics right now. And I don't usually do this. Usually I try to explain, like, usually there are like historical problems or like systematic issues, but the reason I think you're seeing that right now really is because of Trump, because he has kind of poisoned his followers' minds into thinking he can do no wrong. And then when somebody gets out of that movement, they still have that idea about how a politician can do no wrong. And so they kind of have this cult-like mentality for certain figures inside of politics. But I do think that is changing, especially in the Democratic Party. You saw what happened to Graham Plattner. He was definitely one of these people that kind of had this issue where he had this cult-like following, but the Democrats said no, we're not going to allow that. Um, if anything, just for the safety of our own staffers, you know what I mean? I don't want my Democratic staffers who are just starting out in politics, being abused by somebody like that. So, I do think that we're going to get past that at some point. There will always be an aspect of that. But I'm starting to see a lot more open debate. And that gives me hope. But I agree, that is a huge issue, looking past candidates' flaws just because you like their policies. Um, yeah, I totally agree with you.
And the one thing, hey, I agree with you too. I mean, the one thing that really gets me is that we have all these people who are running this country. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And instead of them debating with each other on a professional level, they go to personal so
Yeah, it's
quick. I mean,
unprofessional,
let,
right? Completely
let's
unprofessional.
well, let's say I'm a Republican and you're a Democrat,
Hmm.
and you put out a policy. Well, let's say you want to build 12 picnic benches in a park somewhere.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
I don't like you, and the picnic benches would definitely help out the community, but because you're a Democrat, screw those picnic benches because I
That's
don't like
you're
you.
you are touching on something. Yeah, I agree. That is a huge problem in our politics right now.
Yeah,
And let me tell you, I'm getting those picnic benches built. But
yeah,
anyways.
yeah.
But so
It,
that's an issue in the partisanry. It's called like partisanry, right? When
yeah.
instead of actually being two sides of America, instead, they think their side represents all of America. I think that is super unhealthy. I do see it a lot more in the Republicans, especially with Trump. He never wants to work with us Democrats. But, it happens on our side too. And I try to make sure that we reach out an open hand towards our Republican allies. Unfortunately, they have just been biting the hand over and over. But I don't think it's impossible to someday reach a point where Republicans and Democrats do sit down and have these meaningful debates. I see it in the online sphere all the time where people will be super adversarial during a debate, but then they're friends and outside of it. And I think we need to return back to that. I'm okay with my congressional members getting a beer together, and I think that actually creates better policy because it creates an area of understanding for both sides. And so a lot of
Well,
people point to that and say, "Oh, they're working together. They're working against us." That's actually how our country is supposed to work. It's just recently that we have become so divided, and a lot of this division too. If it feels very astroturfed, right? Like we're having a
yeah.
good conversation and we disagree on things, I'm sure, but at the end of the day, I see you as my fellow American, and that's
Of
something
course.
that's missing in politics right now that I, as well as many others, want to bring back.
Well, I mean, look at what happened in the very beginning of the phone call that me and you had. I mean,
Hmm.
I said that I was a constitutionalist, and you schooled me on it. And
Well,
instead of me getting mad about it, I was able to sit back and go, okay, maybe I could learn something from this guy. Like
Oh,
it's
well, I appreciate
it
that.
doesn't it doesn't have to be go for the frickin' throat every single time you're wrong about something, or I mean,
Amen.
it's
Yeah.
it's absolutely ridiculous. And I mean, I understand that that's a human factor. I mean, I know that there's a human element when it comes to stuff like this, and you can't take that away, you know. But if you're put into a position where you are the face of a country, I would expect you to be very professional.
Well,
Um,
yeah, in terms of Trump, I mean, I believe the president's primary role is to unite the country, whether if they're a Republican or Democrat. It is to unite the country for a common good. Unfortunately, what Trump has done is he really has turned it into these team sports where if you're not for the MAGA Republicans, then you're not even Republican. And for one, I think that's super toxic for the
yeah,
Republican Party because both parties are supposed to be big tents, right? They're supposed to be coalitions. They're not supposed to be just one central ideology. And I see that in the Democrats. We got these DSA members. We also have rural liberals. We got a big coalition. It's much smaller on the Republican side. Once we get past that, though, I think our country is going to be doing great things. And there are systematic things we can do to improve our democracy. So it is less partisan. I believe uncapping the House, adding more members to the House, so that a representative has to represent less people and less constituents so they can actually hear what their constituents are saying. Because 800,000 people, that's a
that's
lot
a
of
lot of,
people to please, right? And
and you
so
can't, yeah, you can't listen to everybody. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. So cutting that down to like 30,000 constituents, expanding the House, that
Oh,
scared me.
sorry.
No,
No,
you're all
no,
right.
it's
You're all right.
a heavy equipment horn.
Oh, got you. Well, hey, I appreciate it. It sounds like you might be getting busy here in a minute. So I
No, no,
appreciate. Oh,
I'm just about to get off work, but it just came across my YouTube, and I just wanted to pop in real quick and see what to have a
well,
good
thank you,
conversation
man.
with you. It
Yeah.
sounded it's pretty cool, man. It was cool.
Well, thank you so much, and I hope you have a good shift, and I really appreciate your support. And you know, just to have something to take away, Democrats, Republicans, at the end of the day, we're all American, and
Yep.
we want to see a better America. That's what we're all going for. So
Yeah.
yeah, I hope you have a great day, man. Good luck at work, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Thanks, brother. Take care.
You too. All right. Bye.
Bye bye. Hey, shout out. I love good calls like that. That noise scared the hell out of me. But yeah, that color was super cool. I love having conversations like that. I think it's better for America to see that Democrats, Republicans, whatever you are, we can get along. What kind of Democrat? I'd call myself a rural liberal.
Call from.
Stone.
To accept, press 1. To send a voice.
Hey Stone, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, did you disagree with anything that's been said on the live so far or with the prompt?
Well, I've been on here for a short time, and I more so wanted to ask you a few questions and see what you said to them.
Yeah, for sure.
So, first off, I'm gonna ask, since you are left-leaning, do you fall under any economic principles that lean towards that? Like, are you a communist or?
No, I'm not a communist or a socialist. What I would describe my economic principles as, I guess, I believe in the private sector. However, I think we have reached a point in which regulation is starting to lack. And so I do believe in regulations, of course. Um, Furthermore, I do think there are some areas where the government could step in and provide a uh, much cheaper solution, but not to replace. Like, I believe in a public option for healthcare, for example. So I wouldn't say I'm necessarily socialist in that aspect. I just believe in privatization with some publicly owned, not publicly owned markets, with a public option in some areas.
That's a very good stance to have, especially when it comes to stuff like healthcare. Do not Our healthcare market is so inflated because it's in the private sector.
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think a public option would really drive down these rates because the insurance providers know there's really nowhere else they can go unless they have access to like Medicaid, and that's not for not everybody has access to that. So, yeah, I totally agree.
Now, do you support any third parties that aren't Republican or Democrat that you would say you stand more with?
No, I don't support third parties at all.
Hmm. Could I ask why?
Yeah, so right now, I don't think the issue is the two-party system. I don't think that's the issue. The issue that we see right now is one party has completely given up their big tent policy because the Democrats, we have a big tent. We have DSA members, we have rural liberals, like is what I would say I am. We have all sorts of different people that kind of coalesce around a couple ideas. You don't see that in the Republican Party, and I think a lot of people are feeling politically homeless because of that. Because a lot of these people that are in the middle, do lean a little more conservative, they that would typically vote Republican, they can't get behind this extremist MAGA agenda. And so what you see is a lot of people saying, "Well, where's our representation?" It's there. It's just the Republicans have, or not even the MAGA has hijacked the Republican Party. And so I really do think the issue is with the radicalization of the Republican Party, and it's not something that's set in stone. We can get it back easily. Um, because I want a Republican Party to work with. It's supposed to work that the Democrats and Republicans get together and write good policy for Americans. They're supposed to work on it together, not just one party bring forward a bill and the entire other party just votes against it because of principle. That's not how our system really is supposed to work.
That's a very good point there. Back in 2024, I voted for Trump because I saw him as a way better option than Kamala. I saw her as unqualified, and I just disagreed with her on a lot of things. The first few months, I thought he was okay. Now he's kind of gone off the rails a bit and
Yeah.
instituted a lot of things that are just things that the general populace just don't agree with or support in any way.
Yeah, I think he really has disappointed a lot of his voters. And again, I like to make it clear, I don't hate you because you voted for Trump or anything like that. And I think anybody that doesn't really understand the situation we're in. I'm proud of you for being able, I don't know you, but I think it does take a lot to say, I was wrong. And not a lot of people are willing to make that concession. So what I do have to ask is like, what moving forward are you going to kind of do different in terms of like researching candidates and stuff like that? Because it does take a little bit of an effort from yourself to try to, get past this misinformation and stuff that Trump likes to spread.
Well, I think the biggest problem too was that 2024, that was a very jumbled election.
Oh yeah, it was a
It was
mess.
it was a mess, especially after Trump, the assassination attempt, the Biden getting thrown out at the last minute.
Yeah, I understand why a lot of people didn't feel comfortable with voting for Kamala. I thought she was the better option, obviously. But, we definitely failed in the areas of like social media. We didn't really go on many podcasts. And just messaging in general, we were pretty bad at. And so we've learned those lessons. I'll tell you right now, the Democratic Party of 2024 isn't the same as the one in 2026. We have a lot more fighters and a lot more people that are willing to fight for the American people.
Well, see, I'm in college now, and I have a lot of people around me that consider themselves leftists. And one of a friend of mine, who considers himself a communist and is very anti-American, I've brought up some of my points, and I've been called stupid and barbaric for some of them,
Oh,
and I
that's
don't even get to
ridiculous.
finish.
That's ridiculous. They should not call you stupid or barbaric for that. You know, what I think you're seeing in college, especially, you know, once you get out of high school, you're exposed to a lot of new ideas that you're not really taught about. So, like communism, it seems novel to them. It seems new. It's like, whoa, communism. And, you know, the pitch of communism sounds really nice, but in practice, it's not a great ideology. And we see examples of this time and time again. Uh, I'm sure in time they'll moderate. I don't think that it's something that they're going to stick to. They'll probably be communist until they get out of college. You know what I mean? Then they'll see the real world and they'll be like, oh, okay. This is why the government can't control vast sectors of the market. You know, so being a communist very much is like a lot of the time child coded. Not I don't want to say child coded, but it is like kind of a naive position to have a lot of the time. Now, again, I don't hate people that are communist in my party and stuff like that, but you know, I actually do see a little bit of value in them as far as like they're pushing my party uh to be more proactive, you know. That's what I see the communist as doing for our party. But in terms of like what the Democrats stand on, we stand on liberal policy. Um and that's kind of the founding of our country was this idea of liberalism and all that. So yeah, that I don't know how exact like if they were calling you a barbarian, they shouldn't do that. That's fucked up. But just know that not everybody in the vast majority in the Democratic Party are not like that. Anyway, was there any other question you had, man?
Yeah, sorry, I had to be interrupted. Someone was knocking at my door. I do actually have a couple.
Yeah, what's up?
So also on top of that, he's also very anti-American because, well, he mostly doesn't agree with the current administration, and a lot of the other leftists I talk to say they do not like America because of the current administration,
Yeah, that's
and
cringe. I'm
I
just
don't
gonna say
think
it right now. That's cringe.
I don't think they understand that no matter what, the people in power do not determine the country itself. I mean, do not identify or represent the country itself. Not determine that word.
Yeah. So what I think you're seeing with these waves of America hate, I do think it is very much driven by the disagreements they have for this current administration. I think that's cringe. I think America is the best country in the world. And, you know, some advice I give to communists a lot of the time is you can't be so anti-American, dude. Like Americans aren't going to identify that. We're a very proud people and we have full right to be. We've done amazing work inside of in the world, and you know, while this current administration is kind of hurting our image, it doesn't mean that we're all evil. And I very much agree. You know, just because the leadership right now is acting this way, that doesn't mean all Americans agree with it. As a matter of fact, the president right now, Donald Trump, has record low disapproval numbers. So I think that is very naive of them. And again, I think it's like a position a lot of young people typically have because they're just not really exposed to the type of uh, information that you would have to be to love America. You know, I love America because of our principles, because of our willingness to always try and do better. Uh, and really because our freedom, liberty, and justice for all, man. That's a powerful, powerful phrase.
It is, and that's one that we have really lost recently. Moving on, I think another reason of the modern political divide is that, like less than 100 years ago, you could identify with multiple sects of the political compass, but now each party on both sides, you either have to identify with whatever they agree with, and you can't identify with what the other side agrees with.
Yeah, so I see that in the Republican Party, but I don't see that in the Democrats. You know, I have people in my community that are more conservative, and I also have people in my community that are more on the left, and we all kind of fall under the umbrella of Democrats. Um, because we know that the party allows that. We allow different ideas. So there are Democrats that are anti-abortion, but there are also Democrats that believe in some nutty Karl Marx theory. All of that is to say is that we do I do pride the Democratic Party in having this big tent strategy because I think it's a winning strategy number one, but I also think that it's better for Americans feeling as though they can be represented in multiple different aspects. So, you know, I there are some Democrats that do that for sure. Like there's these they're much more influencers typically than they are the actual politicians like Hassan or Breaking Points, you know. They are much more less accepting, I should say. But the average Democrat like me, like, you know, just the Democrats you run into every day, I could care less if you are more conservative or more on the left, you know.
I understand. Another thing, I think one of the reasons why I was so kind of against the Democrats in 2024, their representatives as a whole, like you mentioned, Hassan and Breaking Point,
They're
they just seem
cringe.
very hostile.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. They're extremely hostile, and that's why I'm against people like Hassan. That's why I'm against people like Breaking Points because I very much agree that they should not be, you know, if you're going to win, you can't alienate half of the country, and that's unfortunately what they do with their rhetoric. I think it's incredibly sad, and they also don't support the Democrats sometimes, and yeah, I fight against that wave as hard as I can. Unfortunately, they don't enter debates a lot of the time and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I think that is super toxic, and I don't see it kind of co-opting the Democratic Party is the thing. Like when a politician gets elected, they usually distance themselves from Hassan. Like Mamdani, not a fan of Hassan anymore. And I think Mamdani is a good example of like this leftist type figure that gets into the party but actually works with the party that or with the established leaders, you know. Hakeem Jeffries endorsed him. And he's been working with the actual infrastructure of the mayoral process and stuff like that. So I think there can be candidates that are of more of that leftist persuasion for sure, but I usually end up moderating. And they're not nearly as extreme. You know, AOC is another example. AOC was a firebrand, and she still is, but she's definitely tempered some of her rhetoric, and she works on good policy. So that's kind of my opinion. Is that I don't support people like Breaking Points, people like Hassan. Mike from PA is another one that's a cringe lord. Um, and most average Democrats don't support that. There are these new DSA candidates, like I said, that are getting in, but they're a very small minority, and I actually think they'll be pushing our party to do more, you know, because a lot of people, one of the big complaints about the Democrats is we just don't do anything. And while that's because we're out of power right now, um, I can definitely see how people would feel that way. So at any point, I want to be able to combat that, you know?
I understand. And another great point that you brought up with Mandani, when I heard that when he got elected to mayor, I did not think he did a good job because I heavily disagreed with a lot of his economic policies
Hmm.
and a lot of his points in general. Also, I'm a Christian, and I heard that he was tossing certain rhetoric around that was pretty hostile to me. But once he did get elected, he actually seems like a pretty okay guy,
Yeah, I'd share
as
a
you would
blunt
say.
with him. You know, I'd smoke with him, you know? He seems like a cool dude.
Yeah.
And something else that he does, which I actually very much value, is he does do this coalition building where, you know, he's willing to sit down with anybody and have a discussion and try to change minds in a much more positive way than just browbeating. And I call it woke scolding. It's something we used to do more back in the 2016, 2020 era. Don't really do it much. You don't really see that much, at least in my circles anymore. Um, yeah, I think Memdani is a good example for these DSA members to, you know, how to effectively work in the infrastructure and still get things done that you want to see, you know? And something else
Yeah.
about Mamdani, I hadn't heard that Christian rhetoric, that anti-Christian rhetoric. Something that concerned me personally was his support for October. He didn't really support October 7th, but he justified it. He did. He
Yeah, a
has
lot of
walked that back now, and he has said that Hamas can't be in power. All of that stuff, but he also is pretty critical of Israel as well. Um, and but he doesn't, at least as far as I've seen, he doesn't lean into the anti-Semitic rhetoric that a lot of the time does come from the left, like Hassan and Breaking Points. And I think that's good. I think, you know, I disagree with what Israel is doing in Gaza and the West Bank. I think it does constitute as a genocide, but that doesn't mean that we're allowed to be racist or bigoted towards Israelis, you know?
Yeah, I understand. I don't have a problem with the state of, I mean, I have a serious problem with the state of Israel. I don't have a problem with the average Jewish person. But I also have a problem with Gaza because neither of the two sides are exactly the best in
Oh yeah, it's like the
health.
worst people you know are fighting right now. You ever seen that meme where it's like the two people you hate the most are fighting right now? I don't, you know, I don't hate Israel. And I don't hate Gazans, of course not. But all of that is to say, like, yeah, there's not a lot of good solutions out there. That's why it's such a complex issue. I do think Hamas recently dissolved its government, so but they are keeping their arms, and that has always been the big sticking point, you know. So
Mm, I do.
I think that I personally, in my purview, believe the only solution is a two-state solution. I think that the people of Palestine do deserve a state, but I also think the people of Israel also deserve a state. So I believe in a two-state solution with an eventual vote to federalize and become one state. I think that would be beautiful if it could happen. I don't see it happening right now.
Yeah, that's a very good point and a very good stance you have. It's just, mm, it's just very tough for them to get along because they've been warring with each other for 3,000 years.
Yeah, I know. It's well, I mean, the recent conflicts, yeah, I think it is very hard to parse out that situation, unfortunately, just because, you know, and also it's a very emotionally charged topic. Obviously, when you're dealing with a lot of death and a lot of innocents getting hurt, whether it be on October 7th or the subsequent bombings of Israel, it's going to be a very emotionally charged topic for a lot of people. And so it is very hard to talk about. But I personally think the best stance is a two-state solution, even if it seems unrealistic right now. Crazier things have happened, so Yeah, that's just my kind of stance on Israel, Palestine. The wider Middle East, that's a whole different topic.
The Middle East is just like the clusterfuck of the entire world. Like everyone that doesn't like each other just got smushed in there, and they weren't allowed to leave.
Yeah, the reason the Middle East is like that is just it is kind of the meeting grounds of the entire world, right? Like it is kind of the central hub of a lot of culture, and it does have a lot of history there. So, just in terms of the Middle East, I mean, there's so many different topics we could talk about. With this war in Iran, obviously Iran shouldn't have a nuke, but I think we got rid of that possibility in Operation Midnight Hammer. I don't think we needed to bomb them and stuff like that. So, anyways, was there any other question you had, brother?
No, sir, that was a very good talk. I'm glad you're answering the call.
Yeah, of course. Stay in politics. I think it's super great that you're interested in politics, and yeah, there's hope for our country, man. I think we've got some pretty amazing things coming down the pipeline after Trump is out. So don't lose hope. This is the best democracy in the world, and yeah, hope you have a great day, man.
Thank you, you too.
Yep, peace out. Hey, I really appreciate calls like that because, a lot of Americans do feel super divided. And so if we can show people that, we're not nearly as divided as it seems, then it really does a lot to aid in making the country better. I think America is the best country on the planet, and I just want to see my fellow Americans do well in life. And I think that's a lot of people that enter politics or are into politics.
Call from.
Raymond.
To accept, press 1.
Hey Raymond, how are you doing today?
Oh, am I on the show?
Yes, you are.
Uh, okay. I guess what I was
Yeah,
gonna say, I guess to get like before we get to the morbid stuff, I guess, have you been playing the Call of Duty remasters that came out yesterday, Black Ops 1 and 2? They're
I
awesome.
haven't, but I have heard a lot of people like them, so I like to see that.
They they are really, if you played them back in the day, they're worth getting. Anyway, um, I guess a big thing on my mind about the Middle East, like the previous guy, I was just scrolling through YouTube Shorts and I was listening to the stream. The guy previously just said like the Middle East was kind of a clusterfuck, and I think, sorry for the language, I
No,
think
you're
a
fine.
lot of people don't realize the history of the Middle East, like with World War One, and that's kind of what a lot of this it stems from, like the turmoil that still goes on there. Is because at the end of
Yeah,
the World
the
War
British
One,
Mandate and all that. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
when the Ottoman Empire fell, it completely ruined everything. So it's not even just Israel, but all these countries. It's like, I don't know the number exactly, but isn't Afghanistan like two or three previous countries, and they're all kind of meshed into one because the borders are so
Yeah,
messed up from what they
yeah,
used to be. So it's
for
almost
sure.
like, it's like you took a section of California, a blue state, and a section of Arizona, a red state, and redid the border lines and mashed them together. And like, there's always going to be turmoil with that. And then, of course,
Yeah,
after World War One, you have the Israelis coming in, and that created a lot of turmoil. And I think a lot of people got to look back at like World War One as like, I think that's where a lot of this stems from, is like
well,
World War One.
a lot of our issues
Uh,
do stem from the two major conflicts that defined the 21st or 20th century. Yeah, for sure that they're the reason a lot of things are like they are. For example, they're the reason that Russia is the way it is today is because of what happened in World War One. And so, yeah, they definitely do stem from these land swaps and all of that. And you make a good point in that, what if we were to just take California and cut it up into a bunch of pieces and then re-glue those pieces together in a bunch of different ways? Yeah, there's probably going to be a lot of like ethnic tension and all of that. So it definitely is, yeah, I definitely agree with you in that aspect. Yeah, yeah,
But
I
I
would
think,
agree.
like, and I say this as like a Republican, but like white people, especially like the British, really
Oh yeah, the British
messed up that
fucked up the
entire
Middle
region
East,
of
dude.
the world, which I mean, they have a history of doing that around the world
Yeah,
anyway.
unfortunately,
But
they got a
like,
track record of that type of stuff. Unfortunately,
I think
they're
it's
they're sorry
fairly
about it.
unfair
So
too, because the British created a lot of this in the like it seems like in the 50s, 60s they just kind of said we don't want anything to do with this anymore. And it's kind of our problem now. And I think it's just so crazy how this is our problem because it's on the
well,
other side of the world. And I got people talking about, and it's like they're raising my gas prices, it's draining my wallet. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's
no,
crazy
for
how this
sure.
has anything to do with us. And I
Well,
hear people talking, and like I feel like I know more than I should. Like I live in Michigan. I'm like I'm not even close to that.
well, here's what I would say is that um we are the world's hegemon, right? We are the dominant, we're the top dog. And so I see why we would intervene in some of these conflicts. I do agree a lot of the time we unnecessarily get our asses into stuff and we don't know how to get out of it. Take, for example, this Iran war. But, I definitely see where you're coming from. But what I would say personally is that I want America to be the world hegemon because I see. So the other two potential hegemons are what? Like Russia, potentially, and definitely probably China, right?
Yeah,
Both of these countries are very adversarial towards us, so they're enemies, number one. And number two, I think their vision of the world is entirely self serving. You could say that with America, but at the end of the day, we did try to build something where we destroyed it, right? Like in Afghanistan, we tried to build a democracy. Now, I personally think that we should have stayed because it was going to be like building a democracy isn't something that happens overnight. I knew that in Afghanistan, we were probably going to be there to truly set up our democracy for 100 years. And I understand a lot of Americans got cold feet about that. I think partly that's because of the messaging that some of our leaders kind of gave. Like, I think if we're going to get into these conflicts, we need to make sure that we have a real solution as to how we're going to address a lot of these, how we're going to address it, right? Like, big issue I have in Iran with the Iran war, we didn't really have a plan. We thought they were going to fold like Venezuela did, but they didn't. And so now, it's almost like they were preparing for this. What a big shock, right? But so
yeah.
now we're kind of stuck in this quagmire and there's no good outcome for America. And so I'm not super isolationist, right? I do think that if America is going to remain the hegemon and we're going to remain the dominant power, we have to we have to engage in some of these conflicts, but we need to be smarter about it, right? We need to actually have plans. And that's why Trump kind of scares me, is because he is firing a lot of our top military staff. People that have been in these positions for a long time because they're so knowledgeable about history. If you listen to Sarah Payne, I believe that's her name. Um, she is with I believe, the Naval Institute. She's an incredibly smart person and she knows how to like distill these ideas and distill history into a way that's understandable, but she also uses that history in terms of making her decisions and stuff like that. We need people like that because that's the real reason we've been the top military. We can say it's because of our cool tech, but truthfully, it's because of the amazing minds that we have put in the leadership positions, at least in our military. Now, in terms of politics, that's definitely different. But in terms of our military, They're smart. They're usually very qualified people that don't really have a political agenda, you know? But Trump is kind of
Yeah.
changing that, where he's like, well, you got to be MAGA. And, you know, I don't care if you're MAGA. I don't care if you're a leftist. If you're in my military, I just want you to make sure that our boys come home, you know, and that their lives are not lost in, uh, their lives are not lost in vain, you know?
Yeah. Which I think to make, in my opinion, to make sure they're not lost in vain, I don't think, me personally, I don't think we should be going over there because, kind of like I said before, I don't believe it has anything to do with us. And like, especially too, not only are people dying over there, but we're all paying more here at the grocery store, at the
Oh yeah,
pump, you know,
I think this
XYZ,
Iran
etc.
war is so dumb. It doesn't make
Like,
any. We already got rid of their
oh,
nuclear capabilities. I don't see why we had to. Anyways, sorry. That's just a little tangent from me.
but like me personally, I live in Michigan and stuff is a bit cheaper here. I'm not sure where you're at. I know in places like out west, it's way more expensive. I went to Arizona on vacation with my family a few months ago and everything was even more ridiculous than it was here. But it was crazy. I went from paying like 250 at the pump to like over five. I can't afford like real meat
Yeah.
at the store. You know what I mean? I'm buying ramen noodles every night. So that's what I can afford living on my own. Being
Hmm.
24, you know, I work security at a casino. You know, there's only so much I can
Oh
get.
yeah.
And whereas before, like I didn't have a problem. Like I could buy real meat. I could buy this, and I still had money to save after. But now it's
Yeah.
like, you know, shit. Like Taco Bell is like my affordable like haven. Like if I'm eating that, I'm eating good.
Oh
Whereas before, it
yeah.
was like I
No,
could
for
buy a
sure.
steak or something like that. But
Yeah.
I see, and like if it's a war like World War II, I think that's different. Where
Oh, for
like
sure.
the people were willing to make those sacrifices to fight the Nazis and the Japanese. But I don't know,
Yeah.
no one here is willing to do that, and it's not because like the generation is different. I think it's because it's
We see it for what it
stupid.
is, right? Like we
Yeah.
see this war with Iran for what it is. And the reason that it is really hurting our economy is I feel we got rid of when we get rid of those top like military officials, which they did purge them before going to war with Iran. They are able, so they know how war is. They study war down to its most base. Like they are very smart when it comes to war. And so the issue with why it's bad to fire all these advisors is because those advisors would have told you instantly that the Strait of Hormuz will shut if you attack Iran in this way. You know?
Well, Israel's been asking us to attack Iran for God knows how long.
Oh
How
yeah,
many
and that's
presidents,
why.
whether you like them or not, said no.
Yeah, no, exactly. We're supposed to say like, here's what I compare Israel to. I see Israel as a little brother, right? And you got
Hmm.
to be able to tell your little brother when they're going too fucking far. That's what a big brother is there for. And so when we're not fulfilling that rule, yeah, Israel goes crazy because they just experienced the biggest terrorist attack they've ever had, and they're doing a lot of emotionally based decision making. And that's why it's so important for America to step in and say, dude, you're going way too far. That's why I think when we put those aircraft carriers outside of Iran, it was so devastating because I knew, you know, Israel may or may not have, it's still kind of unclear, taken advantage of that. You know, they saw that as the one opportunity to get rid of an adversary they've been dealing with for years. And I just don't think that was smart of Israel, number one, but it also wasn't smart of America to even allow that situation to happen, you know? So
Well,
I,
it's
what's up?
crazy because it's like Israel is like the bad friend. Like if you're like in your 30s, you have a friend you've had since middle school, and he didn't exactly grow up to be a great dude, and then you have a wife, and she's like, you know, he can't come over. He was fucked up. He was saying stupid shit. He was punching holes in the wall. Like you can't have to invite him into the house anymore. And like the friend Donald Trump is kind of like, fuck, like he's my friend, but we got to kick him out. I think
Um, I don't think Trump
That's
is going to be the one to do that,
oh
unfortunately.
no, not for sure. I guess the president as a figure would be that person, but I feel like we're all kind of like the wife or spouse that's like, dude, you can't bring this dude in our house anymore. Like
So,
he threw up all over the bathroom. It's no.
yeah. So so the reason I don't quite like I see what you're saying, and to an extent I agree with it, but the reason is I don't see it just like that is because I know Israel can do better. I do. I have seen massive protest against the government, and truthfully, the whole reason that Israel is like how it is today is because of Netanyahu. You know, Netanyahu, I compare him to Trump because he has kind of fucked up their political system. The only reason that he is even trying to stay in power right now is to save his ass from lawsuits that crimes that he's facing once he gets out of office. So
Yeah,
that's why,
as soon as he's out, he's facing the death penalty. That's for
yeah.
certain. That's
Well,
what.
yeah,
That's
as
the
soon
only
as
thing he's
he's
trying to
out,
cover.
yeah, as soon as he's out, he knows his ass is going to jail. And so he has used the Israeli politics, he has used the political system and tried to, and constantly is coalitioning with these bad actors in the Israeli politic, like Ben Smotrich and all of them, that he really has made Israel become the most hated country in probably the world right now. And
Yeah,
I don't, like, it's sad, and I truthfully hope for in the future that they are able to get rid of this right wing government. And that doesn't mean get rid of all the right wingers. It just means get rid of these extremists that are in government right now that really don't even listen to the will of the people. Israel is a democracy. However, they have the issue that I have they're the reason I have issues with parliamentary systems, because now Netanyahu has, like I said, they have to continually coalition with more extreme figures to just get those votes. So that's why, yeah, that's kind of just that's why Israel is like it is right now. And I do see a potential where Israel comes out of this and realizes the horrors that they've done, but I don't think that's right now, unfortunately.
personally, I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be for a long time. Because I
No,
mean,
yeah.
the amount of people I know, like my age, 24, who hate Israel, but not even just that, like they're full blown anti-Semitic. They hate Jews in general.
Yeah,
Like
I
the
know.
amount of like on both
It's
sides too, not even
heartbreaking.
just
Yeah.
right wingers, and it's crazy. Like Netanyahu's doing almost as much damage to Jews as Hitler did in the 40s, where people just
Well,
hate
I
Jews
wouldn't
to an
quite say
extent.
that, but yeah, I know
I
what
mean,
you're
he's
saying.
not
Like
killing them necessarily,
the
but like
perception, right?
yeah, the
Yeah,
perception of
it's
Jews is
extremely,
flipped. I remember being a kid, right? And when someone would rip you off on something, you'd say, "Oh, you Jewed me" or whatever. And I never even made that connotation until like recently, because it was
yeah,
just no one hated them. It was just I didn't even connect those dots. But now it's like it's crazy, and they're
yeah,
like the
it's
state of Israel
crazy.
has a lot of work to do once he's out to like regain trust of
I
people
agree.
in general, because this whole war is reinforcing a lot of horrible stereotypes
Yep.
about Jewish people, at least for the Israeli
And
government.
creating new ones too. Creating new ones.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. It's incredibly heartbreaking to see what has happened to just with the discourse and concerning Israel, because it has led to a lot of anti-Semitism. It's definitely, when I was like 20, I never saw this. Like people calling other people goy, stuff like that. And you know, that is a
dude,
lot of,
like
that's like a
two,
dog
3 years
whistle
ago, I didn't even
now.
see this. Yeah,
Yeah, no, for
I
sure.
didn't. It's crazy, and it's just I like if you would have told me when I was a kid that like Jews would have been that most hated race of people, I would have laughed. I would have been like, what? Like I
Yeah.
didn't even distinguish them from white people when I was a kid. I was like, that's like hating Irish people. Like that's silly. But like
Yeah, some people,
like
like, I'll be honest, I didn't even know, like, I thought it was a religion, but it is like, no, it is it is a race and all that. Yeah, it's insane. But I do think there is a way out of this. I do. It's not going to be immediate, like most things, but I think once Israel does get that new prime minister, because Netanyahu is fucked in these next elections, it's looking like. So once they get a new prime minister, they'll hopefully stop with this war. I see a lot of good. I do see a lot of good signs for that. And yeah, they're gonna have to work on recouping their image because they have, yeah, Netanyahu has fucked it, and so has all these right wing extremists in Israel. Yeah, it's gonna take a while, but we just have to, for those of us that can see it, right? Those of us that can see the anti-Semitism, it's important to call out, and it's also important to provide the real facts of the area and all of that. Because if people aren't inundated with the information that is right, they'll just continue to keep in their head thinking that Jews are evil, and that's so far from the truth. Some of my best friends have been Jewish,
Yeah.
and they definitely don't agree with what's going on in Gaza. But it's also
Oh
that
yeah, for
they
sure.
don't want to obliterate Israel, and so when you say that, like as a Jewish person, they just immediately associate you with like the IDF or something. I'm not Jewish, by the way. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
I've
Well,
noticed that a lot.
I have a good friend who's Jewish, and he's always flip-flopped. He's like 10 years older than me. He's like a family friend. And he's always
Mhm.
flip-flopped. Like, he liked Obama for a bit, then he didn't like him. Then he liked Trump, then he didn't like him. And then as Trump was getting reelected, he was getting like bigger into Trump. And then the Iran war happened, and he was completely against Trump as soon as that happened. He's like, dude, this is only going to give us a bad name. He's like, what the fuck is he doing? Not just Americans, but like Jewish Americans.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. But again, you gotta have hope that, we get out of this haze. And like I said, I do see good signs that Netanyahu is going to be out of office soon, and maybe then they can start regaining their image, and hopefully the anti-Semitism dies down. Cause yeah, it's never been, I've never seen it at this level before.
I mean, from the looks of it, it looked like Trump was getting annoyed with Netanyahu, supposedly, if that was all
Oh
real.
yeah.
But now, now we're just not even regarding a ceasefire anymore. So who knows at this point?
Yeah. Well, hey, I appreciate you calling in, man. I actually really value calls like this that are substantive and we can understand each other's positions because I think that is what's going to make, just in terms of American politics, a lot less divisive. So thank you so much for calling in, brother.
Yeah, for sure, man. You have a good one. I'll probably keep listening to the stream as I'm playing games. I've been
Hey,
listening like the past hour. It's kind of nice.
hey, thank you. I appreciate that. What you playing right now?
Oh, I'm playing the Black Ops 2
Oh,
reissue
yeah,
they
you
did on
told
the
me about
PS5.
that.
Yeah.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah,
I've been
bro.
playing
Well,
it
hey.
since last night. It's awesome. If you played it back in the day, you'll like it. It's probably
Oh,
not
I'm
going
a
to sell
big
you on it if you've never played it, but
Oh yeah, I'm a big Zombies fan, so I'll definitely be
it,
checking it out.
it's the exact same game. Like no remake. They didn't add anything. They didn't change, which is what I'm liking about it. So anyway, though,
Hell yeah, brother.
I'll I'll leave. I'll tune in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. Take care, brother.
Yeah, you too, man.
Hell yeah. Hey, shout out to Black Ops. I loved Black Ops 1. That was my favorite zombies game. By the way, we only need one more donation through a super chat and / or membership to get the goal for the day. So if you guys are interested in watching a Rightoid, feel free to donate. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the stream. All right, this guy's... Hold on.
Call from.
Danny.
To accept, press 1. To send a voice.
Hey, Danny, how are you doing today?
Oh, what's going on? I got on. Awesome.
Yes, sir. So did you disagree with anything that's been said on the live so far or with the prompt?
Well, I read your head, and that's why I kind of joined the stream, and then I was listening to a lot of things that y'all said, and I agreed with a lot of them. I just wanted to make a few key points, and I'm kind of gonna like slightly rant in a little bit of a way, kind of here. Um, I think that there's a strong division,
Mhm.
all right, between the Democrats and the Republicans, and I mean I get it. You know, it's two different political parties. I understand that, but at some point we have to come together on common ground, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm all
For
about here, man.
for the betterment of America, and
Amen.
that's what I'm about. And like I would say kind of far left conservative, if that
Interesting.
makes sense. Like I'm conservative, kind of more Republican, but I see the points of both sides, and I
Of
get
course.
the 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 need for what other people say as well as my own, and try to make sense of both of them. You know,
Yeah.
both sides. And I think that we really need to find this common ground as a country, because, and this is going way left and like way left field, but not left as in left, but
Yeah.
like way left field out of the conversation. But whenever you have a country that is divided so hard as we are politically nowadays, where you got so many people just throwing so many accusations about everything,
Yeah.
you know, it's very easy for another country to come in and push
Yeah, no,
more
I
on us
agree.
than we need.
Yeah, so I actually see what you're talking about because we know for a fact that Russia, Iran, China, they all try to do these social media campaigns to try to divide us. Now, I do want to address, I don't think we're nearly as divided as it may seem. We do Americans, we do disagree on some key issues, usually abortion or something like that. But typically, Americans do hold the common values of freedom, liberty, and justice for all. I
Yeah,
do agree that a lot of our division is actually foreign driven by social media campaigns and stuff like that. That's kind of why I started my channel. It's not the only reason, but I saw this political division, and I wanted to build a bridge. I don't deny that I'm a Democrat, and I will advocate for the Democrats, but I
and
don't
I
hate
respect you
the
for that.
yeah, and I don't hate the Republican Party though. I feel as though it's been captured by MAGA, and they're not allowing new ideas to spring forth in the Republican Party. I do see that in the Democrats, though. Like, we have these DSA candidates, but we also have people like me, liberal, rural liberal Democrats. I think the issue is that when people don't have like when their they feel like their party doesn't represent them, they do start to act out and they do use much more divisive language because they're coming from a place of genuine fear that their ideas are not going to be represented. And so that causes them to kind of go down this radicalization spiral on both sides, by the way.
Yeah,
Um, so I do think it happens a lot more on the Republican side, and I do feel as though they are kind of ideologically captured right now. But I say all the time, when the Republican Party actually like when they stop being less partisan and extreme, they're gonna have brothers and sisters here on the Democratic Party.
and see that's the big thing is a lot of the things that I see on my side, because I am Republican, you know, is what we are looking at it from the same standpoint that you're looking at it from, where we're looking at it like, okay, well, whenever the Democratic Party stops being so radical on their decisions, you know,
Yeah,
and it so it that, and that's what I mean is the division,
well,
because
that's
you know
actually
you got a lot of blind Republicans who are looking at it from this standpoint, and you got a lot of blind Democrats that are looking at it from the other standpoint, and so there's got to be a mutual ground here somewhere where we
yeah,
can meet and be like, okay, you know, like Is there things that Democrats say that I like? That everything that Democrats say, I don't disagree with. Like there are some things that they say that I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not I'm not that far out where I'm like,
no, yeah.
okay, I can't understand somebody else's opinion
And I
or
can see the reason I want a more Republican party or a more Republican, the reason I want a more partisan, less partisan Republican party is because I genuinely think they would add value in being like, let's say there's a healthcare bill that we're working on, like a public option, right? And we bring
hmm
it to the floor. I want, or we, before we even bring it to the floor, we offer the Republicans, hey, do you want to look at this and see if we can fix things right now since the parties are so divided. They don't want to let each other know like what's going on. I fight against that because I think our country does not work well when it's two sides fighting against each other. It needs to be two sides working for a common goal, that goal to be helping your fellow Americans.
I agree with that. Completely agree with that. But the problem comes in at, and this is where we run into it with whenever you get into like deep politics, you run into a problem of money,
Hmm.
and you run into a problem of just complete idiocy on both sides, not just Republican, Democrat,
Yeah.
Republican, both of them.
Well,
They don't want to hear because they call me a conspiracy theorist if you want to, but whenever you have a country that is so politically divided on everything, I mean it's in everything. Black Lives Matter, the transgender movement, abortion, women's rights, all of that. Whenever you have a country that's so divided on how these things should be played out, you
I
can
don't.
do so much while they're arguing, and they're not going to stop you because they're too busy
Well,
looking at every other thing
yeah.
that's on the board.
Well,
And
what you talked about there, the Black Lives Matter movement, the transgender stuff, I feel as those most of the time those aren't things that the government needs to be involved in. Now, of course, Black Lives Matter that may be a little separate. But yeah, I feel a lot of these like big talking points are astroturfed. Like I don't think you'd probably have an issue if somebody was trans. I couldn't imagine like
I have no
yeah,
problem. If
you see in
Yeah,
a fellow, it's your fellow American using their freedom and stuff like that. And, I do feel like a lot of these are like astroturfed by like Russia does do a lot of the trans like anti-trans stuff I noticed because they are a very Christian nation and all of
yeah.
that. But, I feel like
Now,
when we
like
focus on the
obviously,
trans stuff, it doesn't allow for focus on more important things like healthcare, like affordability, and it does just divide us because being trans is something it's new. Well, it's not new in a way, but it's a lot more. It's a lot more
but I mean,
accepted now.
it's a simple solution. You let the states decide what they want to do with the people in their state. If California wants to let people get, have this the trans movement, and they want to let people get these procedures done, and their state wants to pay for it, then let them. That's a state based
Yeah,
thing that should be done by
I
the state and should
yeah.
not be a federal government. The only thing that I would say on the federal level is whenever it comes to passports. And the only reason why I say that is because a lot of these other countries that these people might go to or want to go to are going to question, or look down on them or whatever for uh, their choosing of lifestyle, And so on a federally level, the only thing that I would say is, you know, uh, because you're not going to get every state to agree, I would say not in sports because you can't. You can't say, oh, well, somebody from California who was born a man but transitioned to a woman can now go compete in, you know, uh, a women's basketball. Okay, that
So
makes sense because
even
for
then though,
California,
Well, even then, you can leave it up to, see, private organizations run these competitions, and a lot of
Hmm.
them have
And you
outright
can leave it up to
banned.
them. Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of them
yeah.
have banned transgender athletes. So, like that, I personally, most of the time, a trans person is on the team. They're usually the worst player. But again, I understand why people would be uncomfortable with it. And so I say leave it up to the private organizations that run these things. Um, and yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. That's my opinion on it personally. But, I do think that it's, yeah, like I said, I think we both agree that trans people deserve to be respected just like your average American. And so I don't think we really have a difference of opinion in that field, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I mean and that's crazy too because of all of the things that I've like heard and read, about the transgender movement. It was like all this and that, and like they want it this way and that way, and I'm like, okay, like I see where you want your rights. I mean, you have rights. You're American. You got rights, but
Yeah.
at some point you got to realize that like that not everybody is going to agree with you, and so we've
Yeah.
gotten into this like
Well, a
big
lot of
thing.
trans people I've met, they don't even, like, a lot of trans people, they're proud to be a trans woman. And they
Yeah,
do use that, like, they're proud to be trans a lot of the time. Some people aren't, and they do want to be accepted as a woman, and that's fine. But a lot of people do just say, I'm a trans woman, and they have
and
no.
that's respectable. And I get like I'll that's my thing, and that was my whole constitch with that was I want I want there to be boundaries. Like if you're in California and California says, okay, yeah, you can, the government is gonna pay for your trans your transition to a woman from a man or a man to a woman or whatever. That's fine. If California wants to do that, that's cool. I'm good with that. But Arizona don't have to do that.
Yeah, I understand. Like, definitely the paying for the operations. I don't even know if I'd support my tax dollars doing that. Maybe it depends on the situation, but yeah, I think that states' rights are definitely something that are being kind of entranced upon right now. And I am a federalist to a certain extent, but I definitely believe that state rights are very important. So yeah, I would agree that it is much more of like a state's thing. Now, if a state is like purposely discriminating against trans people and stuff like that,
Yeah, that
the
would be
federal
different.
government should
Yeah.
probably get in there and be like, hey, you can't do that. But unless it's to that extent, yeah, I agree that most of the time this is much more up to the much more up to the states. And that's why I'm kind of upset about SCOTUS's ruling recently. SCOTUS is an entire different topic. But yeah, and this all leads back to, we really don't disagree on a lot of things. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of Americans, we do agree, like, personal freedoms are super important and stuff like that. Unfortunately, there is this political apparatus in the media that I don't think
Yeah.
is directly controlled by yeah, but it is influenced a lot by the parties. Um,
I feel like if the media would actually say what the American people are thinking, things would be a lot different. Because even like with other countries, you know, I mean, I've talked to a lot of people from Ukraine, from Russia, from Indonesia, from the UK, from I mean Brazil, a lot of other places, and people are like, what they see what the media says, and so we get a bad rap
yeah.
from a lot of countries because you know they can only see what big media is pushing. They need to start pushing uniformity instead of of like so much that we're against each other because not only is it
No,
putting a
yeah.
bad name for us in the world, but it's also putting a bad name for us in Americans' minds because when Americans look at the media and they hear this and they hear what the Democrats are doing or what the Republicans are doing on either side. They're so much against the other party that they don't even want to listen to
Yeah, the other side.
anybody's opinion on the other side.
Exactly. That is one of the reasons I started my channel. Like I said, I do not like seeing this division in America. I think it really hurts us. And like you said, it gives us a bad rap. Like America, I don't think we're gonna get into a civil war or anything like that. I think
I don't
what
think we are either.
yeah, and I honestly hate that narrative because it makes it makes like Americans primed to kill their fellow American, and I could never. Like even if a civil war were
Yeah,
to break out, I don't think I could do that.
yeah.
So I'm glad you agree. Like we're not getting close to a civil war, and we're a lot less divided than it's just some key issues that we disagree on, and that shouldn't prevent us from doing good policy.
And I will say this: I do I like Trump? Yes. All right. Has he done some things that are good for our country? Yes. Did I like Obama at first? No. Did he do some things that were good for our country? Yes, absolutely.
So the
Um,
reason I'm
but I
kind
will
of
say this:
oh, sorry.
go ahead. Sorry, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
well, the reason I'm against Trump so heavily is because I feel he does tap into this division and make it worse. For example, when those senators said you have the right to refuse illegal orders, he threatened them with, I mean, in my opinion, he threatened them with death. Now, you could read that differently, but it seemed as though he was saying these people need to be hung just for saying you don't have to follow illegal orders, which is something you're allowed to do in our military, which is kind of great.
Yeah, yeah.
So I personally do it. I say it all the time. If Trump were to or if Trump were to come out today and say the Democrats, we disagree on, just say what we're saying here, we don't hate our fellow, we don't hate the Democrats and all that. I do think that that would really go a long way to help the American people feel as though we're not as divided. But he just doesn't seem interested in that. And I do think the president's number one job is to unite the country. I think that is why we see divisiveness right now. It starts at the
I
top, in my opinion.
I feel like that every president, including Trump, and don't get me wrong. Like I said, there are things that he has done that I do agree with, but there was also things that Obama did that I agree. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really see a whole lot from Biden. Uh,
Yeah, Biden was a much more quiet president. He wasn't like I
yeah,
don't think he was like I don't think he had like severe dementia or anything. What I do think was happening is he is old, okay. He did good policy, but he never talked about it. And I think that was a huge flaw of his. Like he even said it himself, I was much more interested in the policy than the politics. And to
yeah.
be an effective leader now, you do have to be about both.
Now,
So
I
yeah.
would have to deep dive into what he did to see, because I haven't really like deep dived into him. Because whenever he came into office, I was kind of like, okay, we're gonna see what happens, and then
Yeah, and he also suffered like I said, he suffered from not communicating very well. But he did do good policy like the Infrastructure Act. It was bipartisan and it's going to pave like small town roads for the next 10 years. He did much more like
infrastructure.
actual policy. Yeah,
Yeah,
infrastructure was a big thing for him. It's a big thing for me too. Don't get me wrong. I live in Kansas, and unfortunately, our town has very much suffered from a lack of infrastructure funding. But uh, you know, I think Biden did have his flaws for sure. But
every
moving
president
forward,
does.
for sure, moving forward in terms of like the next the next president I think has to be a unifier. That's why I support people like Mark Kelly. He's from
I
a
think the
purple
next
state.
president should be independent, not
Well,
not 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 one side or the other. We honestly, if I'm asking for the next president, I want it to be somebody who has worked, who has lived, who has,
Yeah.
you know,
That's why I say Mark Kelly.
somebody in the middle class who is like, okay, I've come up from not nothing, but bare from nothing. I know how the system works. I know how these people are. I know how the people are on the ground. You know, like living
Hey,
in
I'm telling you,
rural America.
you should look into Mark Kelly. He is exactly the type of person I think you're talking about. He's from a purple state. He was an astronaut, which is pretty fucking cool. But he also served in the military. He's been a senator for a while now, and he's definitely like the person I would point to as like somebody who could unify the country and understands like you said what a good day's work is and all that. But I think that I agree with you. I think the next person does have to be much more a man of the people.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so yeah,
for
is there
sure.
anything else you wanted to talk about, brother?
No, that's it. I
Hey, I
appreciate you
appreciate.
letting me get on here.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope it kind of showed you why I'm a Democrat and all that. But I also hope it shows that I'm not interested in this partisan fight. I want to do good things to help Americans.
Well, and two, the big thing is, and a lot of it comes down to whenever people can get on here and they can see where I'm more Republican and you're more Democrat, that we can get on here and have a civil conversation and we can air things out and come to a common ground, you know,
Amen.
and I feel like that's a big thing for America, you know,
Yeah,
that they
totally
can
agree.
see that two opposite sides of the spectrum can come together and say, hey, you know, we're gonna hold hands here and tell y'all that you know we're agreeing on whatever, and you know I think that's a big push to get America united again. And
Amen.
any president that's going to, you said Mark Kelly,
Yeah,
yeah, any president that's going to be behind uniting America back to the way that it was 20 years ago, you know, I'm for it because
hey,
I want to see
I
that
think
unification
yeah,
again.
when we're unified, we can do amazing things, dude. We really can.
Oh, we're unstoppable. When
Amen.
we're unified, we're unstoppable.
Literally.
So
Well, hey, I hope you have a great day, man. Great conversation, and take care.
I appreciate you letting me come on here. You have a good night too.
Thank you so much, man. Peace.
Bye.
Yeah, man, I totally agree with that sentiment. We are not nearly as divided as a lot of people want to imply, and I think that, like I said, once we're unified, we are able to do so much as Americans. We got to the moon, ladies and gentlemen. Think about how insane that was for the time. I mean, we got to the moon when the American people were united for something. And I think we can get that back. I do not think that is over. As a matter of fact, I think once Trump is gone, we're going to see a rebirth of values of democracy and compassion for their fellow American. Don't
Call
forget to like and
from
subscribe.
Maxwell.
to accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hey, Maxwell, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, did you disagree with anything I said on the live or with the prompt?
Well, I actually was browsing through shorts and I came across your video. I only caught the back half of it, but I just found it pretty interesting because you don't see too much discourse like this anymore where people are soft spoken. So I think it'd be a kind of a fun thing before I get started with my next shift at work.
Oh, hell yeah. Well, I mean, it is definitely uncommon. A lot of people are upset at the Trump admin. I don't blame them. But a lot of people are, a lot of people feel as though we're super divided, and I don't feel that way. Now, some issues we definitely are, but I think America is way better when we're able to unite around a common goal and try to help each other out.
No, I fully agree with that. So I had an interesting question, and I thought it'd be interesting to call in about it because, you if I heard you correctly, you identify more as a Democrat. I
Yeah.
myself, just with how things have been going, I'm still a registered Republican, but I've had a lot of questions in the last about half the year, 3/4 of a year myself. But it's mainly due to what my question is about. So it's a controversial topic, so I'm not sure what if you're comfortable talking on the channel, but I know there's been a lot of divide right now when it comes to, and I want to try to, I'm calling because I think you have probably a good still discussion on it, but when it comes to a lot of the aid we're saying in the Middle East with like Israel, and I feel that's something that a lot of people take it to extremes on both ends, either extreme support for or extreme opposition against. So I'm a Republican. I'm personally against aid to Israel. That has been, the war in Iran has really been something that really shook me up with my support. I supported Trump in his first term when I was still in high school. I voted for him in the last 2 elections, but that's been something I've been struggling with. I've noticed a lot within my own Republican groups. It really seemed when there were people that were opposed to Israel and kind of split the party in half. And Democrats, I've seen they've had similar discourse with it. I wouldn't say to the extent that it's been in recent years as people's talk get more hostile, but I do agree we can have civil talks about this. So I was interested what your thought was on how, when it comes to discussing foreign aid with nations like Israel, what your thought on was that, like how people can civilly handle that.
Yeah, for sure. So I do agree there has been a huge amount of just a huge rejection of Israel and all that. I totally agree with that. My personal position on just the Israel-Palestine situation, just so you kind of know where I'm coming from. I believe in a two-state solution, however unlikely it may seem right now. Crazier things have happened, and I think they both have valid claims to the sets of land that they're in. When it comes to aid, right? Aid's always the question. I'm okay with defensive weapons, but as far as like weaponry and military aid, I think we do have to be the big brother in this situation and say, you're going too far and you need to stop. My fear is that Israel will go to Russia or something like that. But if we're able to provide conditional aid, we provide that incentive structure to make them do better, right? Like what they're doing in Gaza, unacceptable. What they're doing in the West Bank, unacceptable. But that doesn't mean that they need to be deleted off the map, right? It means that we need a big brother nation, America, to come in and say, you're going too far. And that's something Trump seems incapable of right now. But we did see that to an extent under Biden. He did prevent them from going into Rafah. And I do agree with you that, we really need to look at our situation with Israel and kind of take a step back and say, what are we as the big brother allowing them to do? Because they're being ruled by an emotional response to October 7th. And we saw that here in America. Pretty relatable. That doesn't make it right, though.
Yeah. So 2 things on that I thought that I also have further questions on. So yeah, I agree. It's been a big problem. Honestly, that's one of the things, like, while I am very disappointed in the way Trump has handled it, that is something we saw in a lot of past presidencies. You really have to go back to JFK to really see when a president kind of put his foot down with some of their policies. When they were pursuing the nuclear policy, he kind of put his foot down. It was the last president really to do that. And I think that's something that we need to do more and can do without outright abandoning them. But the 2 questions I had off of that was, first of all, what is your thought when it comes to aid, such as, I know a lot of our tax money goes to their urban development, to their aid. Do you think that's something Israel should pay for themselves? That's personally what I believe. But then my other question is, how do you think, as both us as Republicans or even within the Democrats, how do we stop division among our parties on this topic? Because it's something I've really seen where, as a Republican, my observation is we had a really big movement in result of the Biden administration. We had a big unification behind Trump. We had all these people going, and it honestly feels like we kind of divided ourselves among the Israel issue. Instead of having discourse, it seems like people have kind of flung each other to the different sides of the debate.
So what was your first question again, just so I can... Oh, are you urban development and stuff like that?
Aid outside of military, do you think we should be paying for like their health care, for example, which I know we, not entirely obviously, but we do put a big chunk to their health care, for example?
Well, so when it comes to just monetary aid, I do think like I said, I think we need restrictions on it. I don't think, like, if we got rid of all funding for Israel, it's not gonna relieve a shit ton of funds that are gonna make it, they're not gonna be like super available elsewhere. Like, like I said, I think conditional aid, because Israel has been a pretty staunch ally in the Middle East, and so, but you have to be like, you're going too far. And so I think conditional aid, dependent on how they treat the Palestinians and if they're able to truly get them a state, I think that's what would be, I would be okay with sending like monetary aid to them if they're able to do that, because then we don't have to spend nearly as much on our military because they're not getting into a bunch of fights, and we don't have to go there and kind of sweep up like Big Brother. So in the long term, I think that would be the best solution in terms of aid. I don't really have an issue with, see, this comes from my kind of just purview on the world. I am a liberal, and so I do think if we provide aid to countries, it's not necessarily a bad thing, especially if they're providing services. But again, we do have this issue of they are going too far. And so we have to be realistic and say, and we might have to cut aid for a little bit until they get back on track. And that would be like kind of the incentive structure that they have there. I didn't have a problem with USAID. I think USAID was a good soft power measure. As to divides, right? As to how to fix the divide between those who are more pro-Israel and those who are more pro-Palestine, I guess would be or just anti-Israel. That's a difficult question, and something that I personally it's been a personal project of mine to really try and understand and bridge that divide. It's incredibly tough though, because unfortunately, a lot of this is emotionally charged. It's not based in logic. A lot of the time, it is very emotionally charged, and it's hard to tell somebody that they are wrong in that situation, because a lot of the pro-Palestinian stuff, I understand. I would say I'm pro-Palestinian because I believe in a Palestinian state, but it is emotionally driven because they see the same videos I do of people getting bombed in Palestine and people getting slaughtered in Gaza, and it's hard to navigate that, right? Because there is, like I said, it's a lot of emotional decision making and a lot of emotional based politics. So the way I personally do it is I lay out the facts, lay out what has kind of got us here. You do have to be pretty knowledgeable about the history of the area. But and then lay out, like, this is just for my own side because, I don't usually when I'm debating a right leaning person, it's not necessarily about Palestine and all that. What I
Yeah, I
say,
definitely get that. Yeah, that's why I just wanted to bring that up because, I imagine we have a lot of differences in policy, but I feel like that's the one thing that's kind of a big question on the left and the right is
yeah,
the question of aid with Israel. Because one thing I know is a lot of people, I'm very conservative. I'm not a big fan of aid. My issues with Trump have honestly been I feel he hasn't been conservative enough in some areas. But the one thing that I often get called liberal for is my stance on the Israel-Palestine
yeah.
conflict.
So what I would say, what the kind of scenario I give is, if we do completely pull aid from Israel, they will flatten Gaza the next week. Their settlements will expand tenfold because now they think they're alone. And so that will cause them to do even worse stuff. And the other scenario is they join with Russia, who, I don't know if you know, Russia's not the best when it comes to human rights. It is a very difficult Yeah, it is a very difficult conversation to have. I'm not going to lie, and that's why it is such a big deal on the left and the right. But I think just saying what I give is I support a two-state solution, and I support conditional aid. Uh, you have to call it a genocide a lot of the time, and I do think it does constitute as a genocide what's going on in Gaza. But that, the big issue comes with a lot of these people on the left think we should just erase Israel. And number one, we don't have that. We don't have that ability, even as the biggest power in the world. We don't have the ability to just erase a state. But also, I think that it would cause a blowback in terms of now all these Israelis have no home, and so it's just gonna feed into that cycle.
Yeah,
So that's
a lot of
that's
people
why.
don't really know. Yeah, a lot of the Israeli population were refugees from the Second World War, if I do recall.
Yes,
So,
and a lot of them were Sephardic Jews that were chased out of their homes after the Nakba. And so
mhm.
it's very it is hard to navigate, but what I typically say is I believe in a two-state solution. Like I said earlier, it is, it is a very charged topic, and I am trying to be as unbiased as I can possibly be right now, because I do have
Oh,
my own
yeah.
beliefs in terms of I do think Israel is going way too far, but I can hold that belief, but I also can hold the belief that two states for two people.
Oh, yeah. I can definitely get behind that. I personally am not a big fan of Palestine either, but I believe that that area is such a religious importance. I mean, what's happening, people don't talk about too with Israel and the way they treat Christians. It's like people claim, oh, if Palestine does this, if they do that, there's going to be all this horror. And do we not see that with Israel right now? And I really think, although as hard as it would be, a two-state solution really would help to, it'd be a kind of a check and balance thing, but in an ideal world, really. It's something that's
Yeah.
not really seeming shaping
Well,
up. But my question, do you think there's any way in terms of the parties that the divide between the anti and pro sides of it can kind of be mended, or do you think it's becoming an eventual party split where people sort of
oh
leave the
no.
party over this?
I don't think it'll result in a true party split where you see
Oh, definitely
I
not. Yeah.
personally I don't think that will happen. What I do see happening um in the short term, I do think we're going to have conditional aid, but truthfully, the best position, like I said before, it's emotionally charged. A lot of people have heavy feelings about this. And so I think the best way is to try and galvanize that into something else, unfortunately, because the emotions are too high right now. So what I say, a lot of people have a problem with APAC, right? And
Hmm.
that's usually a big criticism on the left and the right. So I try to channel that into, well, if you don't like APAC, you probably don't like these other political action committees, and there's something we can do about that. We can remove Citizens United. We can repeal it. And I think that actually does a lot because it gives people a goal that is achievable, right? It's not something that is it's not another country's government entirely. It's your own
No,
government.
I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's a really good point because the thing it's really felt like is it's been kind of like, oh, this side's trying to push this side out and are weakening each other's power. And you see that on the left with different issues. I just think this has been a big thing for the Republican Party right now. But if we, baby steps,
Yeah,
getting
well,
killed.
as a Republican, I would love it if, I think this idea of removing Citizens United does need to get popular on both sides because it's not an easy goal. You got to get a two-thirds agreement in Congress, which if it sounds impossible, it is with the margins that they are. But if we can get a consensus to remove Citizens United, I do think you will see a lot less Israel hate and a lot cooler heads prevailing because now they don't think that, Israel is influencing our politics. Now they feel as though it's a separate issue. Does that kind of make sense?
Oh yeah, that definitely makes sense for me in terms of that. I really just think that the issue really comes down to people splitting hairs over the core topics to where they're really just hurting their own movements in a way, and that they just pick this one way to die on. It's like who's going to win, and like you're saying, I don't think there'll be a true party split, but I think it's just two factions battling to keep the smaller one out. And I think that will ultimately, will just hurt people's goals. I honestly don't have enough to comment on the Citizens United. That hasn't been my topic of research regarding it. I've honestly just been kind of researching in terms of if there's a way that, both sides can kind of settle down a little bit and come to a common agreement.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is such an emotionally charged topic that it is hard to move people from the position that they are in. But if you can channel that, right? You may not be able to change their mind on this, but you are able to galvanize them around a policy that that would help in the situation, but isn't necessarily the topic. Unfortunately, it is going to be kind of, like I said, it's very emotionally charged. And I do feel as though some of my fellow, like the DSA, right? That's the big topic of conversation in the Democrats. And I think a lot of their policies are cringy, but I do see them as this, I don't fight them as much as some of my other more conservative liberals do. I see them as an element in the party that is just they want to see fighters. And I definitely understand that. And so I try to galvanize the DSA members in that same direction I said earlier, trying to get rid of Citizens United. So personally, in terms of I think there are ways we can accept these aspects of our parties without fully supporting all of their ideals, but still giving them a voice and representation. I think that's the best way forward, at least for the Democrats in terms of the DSA and all these quote unquote socialist candidates getting elected. I'm always willing to work with somebody in my party. That's something that I've said from day one. If you call yourself a Democrat, then I am going to work with you. Even if you're a Republican and you want a more reasonable Republican Party, I'm willing to work with you. I have a friend, North, who you might actually appreciate. He streams on YouTube sometimes. His name is North, and he does want to move the Republican Party forward in a direction that isn't as bipartisan or isn't as partisan, and just wants to, truly help the country, but is more fiscally conservative and a little more socially conservative in some areas.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate the time. I was just interested to hear someone else's perspective on the entire situation. It's something that's hotly debated, and like you said, emotions are just so high in it. So I was just interested to see it from an outsider's perspective, what you thought about how people should go about it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm glad I could kind of give you my thoughts and perspectives, and I'm glad to hear from somebody else on the right about these issues too. So I hope you have a great day, brother. And
thanks, you too.
Yeah, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
No problem. You have a good one.
Peace. Yeah, it is. It's very hard to talk about Israel-Palestine right now, just because, like I said, very emotionally charged. By the way, we have hit 1,700 subs. Ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding. Thank you guys so much. You guys are awesome. Again, I think you guys, I come out here every day because of you guys. So thank you guys so much. If you aren't subscribed yet, remember to like and subscribe. It does help out the channel. But yeah, I think Israel-Palestine, unfortunately, I do think that it's just so emotionally charged right now. Oh, hold on, I'm getting a call. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by its toe. If he hollers, let him go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. All right. Oh. Damn it. The one I was about to answer hung up. All right. Sorry. The calls are open right now if you guys want to call in. And if you guys are enjoying the stream, don't forget to like and subscribe. It does really help out the channel. We have been absolutely killing it recently, so I really appreciate that, guys. You guys have no idea. Stay blue, Patriot. Thank you so much, brother. I intend on it.
Call from.
Lenore.
To accept, press 1.
Hey, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, did you disagree with anything that's been said on the live so far or with the prompt?
I've disagreed with some things. I've agreed with some things. I mostly wanted to talk about the prompt because, again, I agree with the beginning. I think Trump and Republicans have definitely screwed America. I don't think there's any question in that regard. But I'm hesitant to say that the Democrats will fix it in 2028. I was wondering why you thought that that would be the case.
Yeah, of course. I know the perception of the Democrats is pretty low right now. I think we have a pretty low approval rating. So I actually love answering this question. So the reason that I support the Democrats is mainly because of their policy that they are supporting. And what do I mean by that, right? Like, I think a big issue in America right now is healthcare. I think a lot of people would agree with that. And so the Democrats, they support a public option. Now, public option isn't universal health care, definitely not, but it's a start, right? It builds that infrastructure for an eventual universal health care. And it would also massively lower rates on which the insurance companies have to, or which the insurance companies pay. But not only that, they are much more willing now, it seems, to combat Trump and fill the holes of our democracy that are going to be left by the expanding of executive power and all that type of stuff. Um, Usually, is there any specific like policy that you support or something that you want to see done in the Democratic Party?
Yeah, for sure. Like you mentioned the public option. I know that Biden ran on that in 2020, and then like kind of immediately ran away from that once he took office. So it's like it makes me feel a little hesitant to believe that they would push for it again. But even then, I feel like a public option doesn't go far enough, especially with everything that's going on right now with Medicare and Medicaid being cut.
Yeah.
Thousands of people, die every year because we don't have access to healthcare.
Hmm. Yeah.
Millions of people just don't see the doctor because they don't have healthcare, and then they just wait and die. I think we need to push for more quote unquote radical solutions like universal healthcare, like most of the world has. I think we
So,
need to focus on, creating a living wage, child care, paid time off, things of that nature. We really need to
oh,
push
well,
for things that
in
support the
term
working class.
in terms of childcare, Biden
Hmm.
did the amazing policy, the one child tax credit. That
Hmm.
helped a lot of families, and I agree
Okay.
with you that the working class, it does feel like it kind of escaped us, and that's what we saw with Trump. That's why I am a Democrat personally, because I see them as the party most well equipped to handle the issues that we're talking about here. They're
Hmm.
not going to promise some like bullshit solution. It will actually help people. And I want to go back to a
Yeah.
public option because I agree with you. It is not, we definitely deserve universal health care. But unfortunately, we do have this side known as the Republicans, and they are,
Hmm.
we have to rule them into the deal as well. And so that's why I support a public option. But I'm not going to shit on people that support that support universal health care because I think that's a powerful starting position and one that I think the Democrats will take when they start negotiations on this. I definitely hear you when it comes to Biden didn't fulfill all of his promises. A lot of the time I hear student debt. That was unfortunately blocked. He wanted to, but the Supreme Court just wouldn't allow him. That's why I'm for personally Supreme Court reform in the way of packing the Supreme Court to adding four more justices, because I think before we do any of like this radical change you're talking about, I think the first things first is that we have to fix this Supreme Court, because what they're essentially doing is they're making law. They're acting as if it's an
Mhm.
interpretation of the Constitution, when, as a matter of fact, it is a new statute, a new law that people have to follow. So before we do anything, I think that is the most important. And senators like Ro Khanna, even Kamala Harris, support adding 4 more justices. So that's another reason I support the Democrats, is because I think the Supreme Court, I'm sure you would probably agree, entirely captured by the right. I mean, if you listen to
Oh yeah.
Justice Clarence Thomas's dissents, it's like a Reddit post, dude. It's insane that that man is one of the most powerful judges in the land, and he writes like he's on 4chan. So that's I feel confident that we'll be able to do that if we do manage to get a hold of the House and the Senate. And I would support, like, even before healthcare reform, I would support that, because look at what they've done. They've made a mockery of the Constitution, whether it's the Roe v. Wade ruling being repealed, or whether it's a 6-3 decision. There should, on birthright citizenship, there should be no dissenting opinions on the birthright citizenship case, but there were 3, and then on the constitutional grounds there were 4. So I think we need to reorient the Supreme Court, and we would probably see a lot more progressive policy get passed.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I do think the Supreme Court is something that definitely needs to be tackled for sure. Like you said, like it's completely captured by conservatives and the Heritage Foundation. So
Hmm.
I do think that is something we definitely need to tackle. Um, excuse me. My biggest fear
No, you're
is
okay.
in 2028, the DNC runs another, run-of-the-mill corpo neoliberal Democrat, and they will probably win. You could probably put up, a bag of potatoes and it'd win against the Republicans in 2028.
True.
But my fear is that, 4 or 8 more years of the same middle of the road corpo Democrat policies that led to Trump in the first place will create an even worse
So,
Trump-like figure in the 2030s.
yeah, and that's
That's
a
why I
valid
think we
fear.
really need to hit the ground running and
Of
actually
course.
make drastic changes to people's lives so that they don't run back into the arms of an even worse fascist, one that doesn't have
Yes.
dementia this time.
Yeah, well, who knows, right? Well, the issue
True.
that the issue is that we have this, the you know about the filibuster, right? The rule that,
Oh yeah.
yeah, so that is another, a lot of issues we have are systematic. It's not necessarily the Democrats as much as it is we are not allowed to do some of our more quote unquote radical policy because we do have
Yeah.
the filibuster. And so I think the first thing we're going to do, even if when we get back the Senate, hopefully, is remove that filibuster so you can see more of that progressive policy get passed through. Um, in terms of what I want to see in a candidate in 2028, I do want a fighter. I want somebody that is willing to fill the gaps that Donald Trump has left in our democracy. That's why I like someone, he may be a little more corpo Democrat for you, but I like someone like Mark Kelly. I think he's a fighter. He has a track record that would make him very palatable to the American people. You know, he was an astronaut, served in the military, all that. But he does support progressive policy like the public option, but also he has shown a willingness to combat the Trump administration, where Joe Biden wasn't really willing to do that because he thought, and I don't necessarily blame him, but he had this idea that America was going to be less divided after Trump, but he didn't take into account the right-wing media complex. He didn't take into account Donald Trump was still there, just turning up the temperature as much as he could. And so that was a real oversight. And he didn't go as far, he didn't go as hard after Trump as I think he should have. I don't see that happening in the next Democrat president because Trump 2.0 has really soured a lot of Americans to even the idea of democracy.
Hmm.
And I know they are going to want to restore trust in these institutions that have helped us for many years, um, but unfortunately have fallen to corruption in that case. Um, as for it sounds like you kind of have an issue with money in politics, and I do too. That's why uh, me and a lot of Democrats, even ones in power, support repealing Citizens United. That's not going to fix the issue entirely. We also need to place
Hmm.
bans on the amount in which a corporation can donate, the amount in which a individual can donate to a campaign. But there are systematic things that we can change to actually see real change in America.
Yeah, no, I agree, especially with Citizens. Oh my gosh, I can't speak.
No, you're
Citizens
okay.
United. I've talked to a few people about it, and most people that I talk to don't even know what it is or that it exists, or what
Mm-hmm.
it does. Um, so it's definitely something I think we need to tackle. And going back to what you kind of mentioned earlier, there are a lot of systemic issues that need to be addressed. Um, I do think that there are some things that we can do about it, like maybe abolishing the filibuster. I'm radical enough to say that maybe we should get rid of the Senate. I know you won't agree with that,
No, I will
but I
never.
mean,
Yeah, sorry. I
I
think the
go a little
Senate.
too far. But
Well, don't worry. I understand your frustration with the Senate right now because it
yeah,
does feel as though they're not doing anything. I do think
yeah,
that is because John Thune is currently the leader and he's a fucking loser. He's a loser.
no,
But
fair, yeah.
yeah, he's just a cuck in a lot of situations. But I feel once we get back power in the Senate, you will start to see these like investigations happening that just aren't happening
Yeah,
right now because of Trump's corruption and his capture of the Republican Party. But also
yeah.
something else that's kind of I think we should uncap the House. And I bring that up
Oh,
because
for sure.
a lot of Americans don't feel represented. And that is, in my opinion, a huge crime against America. Our entire thing is representation. And so
Yeah,
we need to uncap the Senate, make it to where one representative doesn't represent 800,000 people, but instead represents 30 to 50,000 people. That's a lot easier to manage
yeah.
your constituency.
Yeah, that's why I was bringing up the Senate, because to me it feels like that's like a very big like slap in the face of representation, because you have two people representing the entire state of California, and then two people representing the entire state of Wyoming, which probably has more cows than people. Like,
Yeah.
it's kind
Well,
of, and that
the
gives more power and more credence to a small portion of the population
for
that
sure.
continues to elect and empower these far right conservatives. Um, but I was just mentioning that part as an aside. I think there
No,
are
you're
some things that
okay.
we can do systemically. I think there are some things that we can do electorally. But I do think a big thing that a lot of people are overlooking is that we do really need to like organize our communities, organize workplaces, organize
Of course.
apartment buildings, not just because it helps give us power, give us more say, but it brings people together. Because right now we are
Amen.
so alienated from each other, it's hard to recognize how each one of us are suffering. It kind of
Yeah.
puts it all on the individual. If we can all realize how we're all in this together, I think it'll create a more of a national unity to fight back against these systemic oppressions, if that makes sense.
Oh, for sure. Well, a big issue I do see that contributes to this divide is social media. I'm
Mm-hmm.
radical in terms of I think we need to break all these major conglomerates up. I think they are
Yeah.
the new version of monopolies. And I do
Mm-hmm.
think that will lead to a better living standard for your average worker because then companies have to actually compete for workers instead of just being the only game in town.
Yeah.
I know that's not super tangential to what we were talking about, but I'm just giving you stuff that I have heard
Yeah.
in the Democratic Party that they are interested in doing that could actually lead to, those real changes that we're talking about.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's funny that you bring up the social media thing because I've been watching the stream for about an hour or so, and it's been funny to watch you discuss these topics with other people. It's very cordial, very civil. Then you look to the right side of the screen and you see the chat just tearing each other apart. It's just like, okay, yeah,
I
that's kind of
know.
what we're
My chat's
talking
a
about
war
right
zone.
now.
I won't lie. The chat
It's
is a
like
war
that on
zone.
YouTube everywhere.
Yeah,
Like every YouTube chat is just abysmal. It is awful. It's just blood sports.
well, that is why I'm glad people call in and they can see that, behind the screen we're not nearly as divided, and a lot of the vitriol you see in chat is people that are, like you said, we're very divided. That's the best way to put it. But that's why I started my show, so I can kind of break through that opaqueness that a lot of opaqueness that leads to people kind of resenting our current political system. I think if we can understand why a lot of this stuff is happening, it helps people mobilize into actually trying to fight for that change and stuff. And I don't, I am a very small YouTuber and all that, but if I and 100 other people start doing this, then I think we might see some real change, some real headway be made.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I was going to say too before we ended the call, like I do appreciate you doing something like this. It's nice to see this, and I know the previous caller mentioned this too. It's nice to see something like this in a sea of, a lot of negative politics.
Hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of horrible things that are going on that need to be called out, but it is nice to have these, conversations even when we don't agree.
Oh yeah.
Um, just because, it breaks us out of that social media mold or, the YouTube chat mold where we realize that, we may disagree, but we're humans at the end of the day. We're all struggling and we're all just wanting things to get better. We just have different ideas of how to get there.
Amen. Amen. We all want to see America do better, and we all care about our fellow Americans and to a further extent, our fellow humans. So I appreciate that. I really do. For a while, I think people are kind of tired of seeing the partisanry and people just
Hmm.
screaming at each other. And I don't deny sometimes there are callers where that does happen, but I try to
Absolutely.
I only give out what they give me. So that's the best way to describe that. But yeah, I really do want to see us less divided. I think it has hurt America in a lot of ways that we don't even see. And so yeah,
Oh yeah.
I think I appreciate that, and it means a lot to me. It really does.
Of course. Yeah, no worries. And I appreciate you taking my call.
Of course. Well, I hope you have a great day, and until next time, peace.
Yeah. See ya. Have a good night.
You too. Yeah, I really do try to make it to where it's not as toxic and vitriolic. Occasionally it does happen, and I don't deny that sometimes I do have interesting debates, but I I personally see more of a appetite for less controversial, like not less controversial, but less vitriolic politic right now. And I see that in my views, but it just talking to people. Anyways, we are 1 minute away from ending the stream. Actually, I'll go on for another. I'll chill for a little bit longer. Oh, why am I lagging? Shout out. Thank you guys to everybody who has liked and subbed to the stream. It means a lot to me. It really does. You guys are super awesome. And I'm honestly really glad to see that people enjoy the more like calm debates that are not necessarily like that are less uncivil. I think that is super awesome actually to see. Oh, thank you so much, Chris. I really appreciate that. All right, this will probably be the last call, so
Call from.
David.
To accept, press 1.
He's
Hey,
not gonna answer his phone call.
well, I've got good news for you, man. I answered.
Hey.
So, what did you disagree with anything I've said on the live so far or with the prompt?
Oh well, I just picked up your live like a couple minutes ago, but just the header of how
Okay.
Trump is destroying America, and the Democrats didn't try to destroy America is like kind of wishy-washy.
Yeah, so I can provide my reasoning for the first part and then we can address the second part. So I think Trump is purposely driving division right now. I think he uses very divisive rhetoric, and I think that is a huge problem in America right now. I think
Okay,
that hurts
Obama didn't
America.
drive divisive rhetoric?
No, he did not.
No, okay.
Yeah, can you give me a quote?
Okay. I'm just bringing that up that
Yeah, well,
that's
I
your,
mean,
I mean that's your like your savior. So
my savior.
yeah. I mean, is Obama not like the best president in your book?
I think he was a great president, but in terms of my adult life, I think Joe Biden was really good.
That's unfortunate.
Well, I think it's unfortunate that you like Donald Trump, who purposely drives division between
I
Americans
never
so
said
they
I
can.
like Donald Trump. I never said that he was like the savior, but in
Well,
comparison to
yeah,
Obama
but you said you had
and
an
Biden,
issue. You said you had an issue with
he,
my prompt, so I would assume that you would enjoy Trump or think he's doing good things.
oh no, I'm just grateful that he's the president instead of Kamala Harris or Joe Biden.
Yeah, so
Because
this
you know
feels
Joe
like
Biden
you
was
might
just a
want to
dead
do
president.
grievance politics, and I'm not interested in grievance politics. If Joe Biden hurt
Okay,
your
you
feelings,
say
that's
okay,
okay.
you say grievance politics, but
No, it is
that's
grievance
that's
politics,
all
sir.
you have right now because Republicans are in power.
What do you
And
mean?
I don't
I
care
provide
either
real
way. I'm an
solutions for
independent,
how we can.
okay?
Yeah,
And I hate
yeah.
the division in this country, but
Well, it seems
I
like you
also
don't.
I also
You wanted
don't
to drive. Hold
see
on, sir. I want to address that. You don't. You are actively trying to create more division by making fun of the fact that I thought Biden was a good president. Did I laugh my ass off when you called in, sir?
no, not at all. But when you say
Yeah, so do
Biden
you
was a
see
good
that
president,
yeah,
when
so
he
what
can't speak a literal sentence in a speech, I mean,
Yeah, so I look at a
that's
policy agenda
not only
typically.
that, but
Can you name one
the
policy
auto
Trump has
pen,
passed?
the whole auto pen.
Yeah, more grievance politics.
It's not grievance politics.
It's total grievance politics,
It's
sir, because
learning
Donald
from the
Trump
past.
used the. Yeah, but you didn't have an
Just because
issue when Trump
just
used
because
the auto pen,
Republicans
did
are
you?
in power now, you call it grievance politics
It is
because you're
grievance
not in power,
politics.
and that's all you care
Not
about.
at
You only
all.
care
I
about
provide
power.
real
So
solutions to
when
people,
Obama
sir.
was in
You're the
power,
one
when
doing
Biden was in
grievance
power,
politics.
you're
Like
fine.
what?
It's not
Okay,
grievance
sir.
politics.
We're talking
But
over each other.
when there's a Republican in power, you say grievance politics, and you say, oh, well, Biden isn't the president now; it's Trump.
No, so the reason I do grievance
Obama's not
politics.
in power
Yeah,
right
the
now; it's
reason.
Trump.
Well, let me explain. So, what solution did you provide in any of that besides just complaining?
Listen, that's all.
Yeah,
That's all
see,
we're
it's
doing
like
here is complaining.
not
So
at all. Not at
here's
all,
the thing.
sir. I provide
Here's
real
the thing.
solutions.
Why should I trust Democrats when they open the border? Okay, and there is no checks and balances at either one of our borders. Our fentanyl crisis goes to maximum, and you say, "Oh, we're doing
Our
better
fentanyl
for the
crisis was
country."
actually at the
That's not
maximum
true.
under Trump, believe it or not.
That's
His
not
first
true.
term
And
was
I
the
hate
height
the
of the
fact that
fentanyl
we're going
crisis.
to Iran and dropping bombs. That's fucking nuts to me.
Yeah.
Why the fuck are we going to Iran and dropping bombs? Trump is a fucking douchebag for doing that. I fucking
Well,
hate
the
that.
Republicans enabled him to do that, sir.
No. Israel enabled him. Israel
See,
made
this
them
is
do
what
that.
this is the goal. So the party that is in power isn't responsible. It's another country thousands of miles away, and it's not the party in power.
Listen, but the internal structure of the money coming from AIPAC and Israel to
So you
America
have an issue with AIPAC?
to allow America to do that to Iran, that's what I'm talking about. That is
You have an issue with
the
AIPAC,
garbage
right?
of Trump. That's Trump's garbage for doing that.
Yeah, so if you have an issue with AIPAC, that's another reason to support the Democrats, because the Democrats support getting rid of a
Democrats
ruling
take
called
AIPAC money too, man.
Sir,
Don't give me that bullshit.
can you please let me finish? So yes, Democrats do take AIPAC money, but they are the only party that is for repealing the ruling known as Citizens United. Do you know what Citizens United allows?
Go ahead.
Well, Citizens United is a ruling that happened in 2010 where the Supreme Court gave the ability for major political action committees to be formed and allowed for all this money to be poured into politics. Before that, we did have individual contributions, definitely, but it wasn't to the level that it is right now. And so I support, and so do all of the Democrats, repealing Citizens United. And that is at the cost of them. They are going to lose funding just as much as the Republicans are going to use funding. But they're not in it. Yeah, but they're not in it just because they are trying to make money. They care about America, and they see that our democracy is suffering. Our democratic republic, if you care about that, is suffering because of all this money flowing in from political action organizations.
So the problem is it's flowing out and then flowing right back in. It's flowing
yeah,
out
so this
to
would deal
Israel
with that.
to fund their bombs, and then it's flowing right back in to our politics to corrupt our politicians towards Israel and allow them to basically terrorize their neighbors and
Yeah.
their own people.
So I think the
So-
issue with Israel right now is America is
And
not
it,
being a
it
good.
didn't stop. It's like it didn't start during Trump. It's not
No,
Trump's
yeah,
fault
but it was
because of
less.
this.
It was
It's
less.
not like
it was
Obama
less
did it. It's not like
devastating.
Bush did it. This shit's been happening since the 50s. So
So if
how
we're
do
talking,
we as a people come together and figure out a way that we can get Israel out of our politics?
I just told
which
you,
would-
sir.
Yeah, but see, that's politicians. That's a politician's way of solving things.
Well, unfortunately, with our politics, you are going to need politicians. And most politicians are not these evil people that a lot of us think they are. Most politicians are usually good people that respect their constituents. They have to deal with a lot of them. I mean, senators and even representatives have
amongst
to
the
deal with
wolves,
a lot.
man.
Hold on. What did you say?
I said that's few amongst the wolves.
No, not at all. I think that
Yes, it is.
politicians aren't these evil people, man. It's really not the case. And we should, the reason a lot of,
You say that so calmly, but the truth is, most politicians are paid and are in the pocket of
no,
someone or some company
that's not
or
the case.
something that funded their, funded their campaign.
Yeah, so a lot of
I-
this
I
money
really
is,
don't buy- I really
a
don't
lot of
buy-
this money is spent in the campaign. But again, why don't you buy, like, what you're asking for is non-legislatively do something. But I'm telling you, there's no way
No,
you
there is
can.
a way to legislatively do something.
Yes, and I just told you that way.
Yeah, no. Dude, that's part of the that's like part of the politician's pocket.
No, it's not, sir. Again,
Absolutely
I want
is.
to remind you. So Do you believe in the idea of America? Like the idea of representation?
I mean, at least who we have in power, and when you watch the news and watch the what goes on in Congress and in Senate, you can tell who's who, because most of the time they don't show you the people that actually matter and actually have a voice of the people. They show you the people that are bought and paid for, because our
Bought
media
and
is
paid
bought and
for.
paid for
I have an
too.
issue with the bought and paid for, my friend, because what that does
Dude,
is
you
it
can
makes
say
people
the
not
issue, you
believe
have
in
an issue with bought and paid
democracy.
for, but
They're
that
not
doesn't
bought and
change the
paid
fact that
for,
they are bought
sir.
and paid for.
But they're not bought and paid for.
Yes,
That's
they
the
are.
issue. Most of this money
No,
is
they
spent in
are.
the
Both
campaign.
Democrats
So you don't
and
believe, okay,
Republicans
so you
are
don't
bought
believe in
and paid for.
democracy. You don't believe in democracy.
I absolutely believe in a democratic republic
Then
and
you
democracy
understand. Yeah, so
within
you
a democratic republic.
Yeah, so you
Okay.
understand that our representatives are
Which
how
is-
we
which is
actually
underneath
affect
A
change.
constitutional republic.
Yeah, so you understand that our representatives are an extension of the people. And so I'm providing
Not
a solution.
necessarily.
I'm providing
Because-
a real
because the
solution on
representatives
how we
can
can make
stop
it more
bullshit
representative.
and be bought and paid for, and then do other things just like they do.
Okay. So again, I'm going to tell you the
Both
only
sides
way we get
Our,
rid
our,
of
our binary,
the only
uh,
way we get
system
rid
of
of this money
politics
in our
is
politics
fucking
is if we
broken.
okay, we're just gonna I don't think our system is broken, as you would say. I think that we do have an issue, and that is money in politics. I provided you the exact way you get rid of money in politics. That's not a politician's answer, okay? That is the actual way we affect law and get what we want to see. Because I agree with you. I don't want to see money in my politics. But I understand that there's a process to this type of stuff. And so understanding the process, understanding what allowed for all this money to start being poured into politics will help you better combat it. You have to understand your enemy before you face them. And
Dude,
so
our enemy is within, man. That's the problem. No. Listen, our politicians do not give a shit about us. And
so why
you
did they
saying
just
that
pass
they
a
do
housing bill that
is a
prevents
pro-
private
is a
equity?
problem with your
No,
conception.
there's a problem with your perception, sir. You have been raised with Donald Trump and all these
No,
bullshit.
I have not been raised with Donald Trump. I've been raised with Bill Clinton and George Bush.
Oh,
So
okay.
I already know corruption from within.
Yeah. So would you agree Trump is the most corrupt president we've ever had?
No.
Who's
Not even
more
close.
corrupt?
Oh, Bush was fucking way more corrupt, man.
He made $2.2 billion while he was president?
That's outside what within politics. How much of that was within politics? And how much money
Within
does the Biden
politics.
family
What does
make
that mean?
within
What does that
politics?
mean? Within politics.
Within politics, like when his business makes money, is that Trump making money within politics?
Yes, because his business directly benefits from the policies in which they are presiding on. And I would also say that most of that money, about 1.2 billion, was made scamming. Hold on,
Trump's
hold
business
on,
should just shut
sir.
down, and
Yes.
Biden can just
I didn't-
accept bribes from China and Ukraine.
Do you have
for,
evidence of that?
For nothing.
Do you have evidence of Biden accepting bribes from Russia or Ukraine and China?
I mean, it's in the Hunter Biden laptop. So.
And what happened with that case?
Oh, yeah, it was hushed under Democrats.
Was not hushed under Democrats, sir.
It
What
still was.
happened?
It
Here,
was
I'll tell you
hushed
what
and
happened. I'll tell you. The star witness
Listen,
in the
man,
Hunter Biden
the
laptop
whole
case
court system,
got
the whole
sentenced.
court
Hold
system
on. I got to address what
is-
you were saying, sir. This isn't a conversation if I can't address what you were saying. So, the star witness in the Hunter Biden laptop case got hit with perjury charges and is currently sitting in a jail cell. Sitting in a jail cell. So again, like, I don't think that's nearly the amount. I don't think that's as corrupt.
For a democratic judicial system that tries to
See, this is the thing. You need to stop thinking judges are
silence
partisan.
their opposition, which I could care less about.
Well,
honestly.
here's the thing.
I'm just glad Kamala Harris didn't get elected, because she'd be weaker than Biden.
Not at all. Why do you think that?
Absolutely. Because the border would still be open. We'd have more like 50 million.
Yeah, let's address. You
illegal
seem to have an
immigrants or
issue.
something.
You seem to have an issue with
We have
immigration. So
about
let's talk about
probably,
immigration. You want to talk
I
about?
don't know, 3 to 4 million deaths a year from fentanyl and drug overdoses.
It's only
So-
about 500,000, but it is very high.
It was more like 1 million at Biden's like.
No, the height of the fentanyl crisis was under
smuggling.
Donald Trump.
Not only that, but the child sex trafficking and all that at 600, 700,000 a year went down to fucking zip under Trump.
No, not
I'm-
at all. There is
I'm
still
so
sex
glad about
trafficking
that.
operations going on. But what I want to address
Dude,
is your
you-
issue
don't-
with immigration.
you know,
You seem
don't-
to, sir,
don't
I want to
really
address your
see
issue with
wishy-washy-
immigration.
Wishy-washy shit away. Yeah, there's
Sir,
at
I
least
want to
600
address your
700,000
issue with
across the border
immigration.
kids being trafficked. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear about anything that you have to say.
So you don't want to hear about
you know,
solutions? You don't want to hear about
propose, you know.
solutions? You just want to complain, right? Grievance politics.
No, it's shut down now. The shit's fucking done.
Did
It
you know
doesn't
we still
happen
have
anymore.
10,000
So I
crossings
don't
a
want to
week?
hear about you like.
Did you know
just
we
trying
still
to
have
push
10,000
Democratic
border encounters a
policies
week, sir?
Because you're a Democrat. You know, and that's
Yeah,
what your
so I
side
think
does.
that's a big
You push-
issue. You
push
hate me just
Democratic
because
policies, and you love Democrats because you're a Democrat and all
No,
the things that come with it.
I don't support
and
Democrats
you
just
wanna
because I'm a
push aside
Democrat.
the hundreds of thousands of children that are being tracked across the border.
What
when the
evidence
borders
do you
are
have that
open,
100,000,
and
that hundreds of
you want to just like wash that away?
Sir, you're
like it's
making this
nothing.
impossible. I'm going to be honest. It doesn't seem like you want to have a good conversation.
I'm having a good conversation. I'm
No, what you're doing
telling
is
you what
filibustering right
happened.
now. Yeah,
What
I know
is
what
happening?
happened. I know what happened under Biden. I was alive during that
hundreds
time.
of thousands of kids every quarter.
So
are
I
being
just
trafficked.
want to point out that this hundreds of thousands of kids number is actually a misunderstanding of data. So
That's
what
not a
that means
misunderstanding. It's the
is
truth.
So
Because
what
there's
ICE
millions of
present,
people
sir,
every quarter
you're
that were
just
coming in under Biden.
Sir,
So I don't wanna
bro,
hear it.
sir, I can't do this if you're just gonna soy out every time I bring up a point.
It's not soying out, bitch.
You're soying
It's
out.
fucking true.
Whoa, someone's upset.
Yeah, I'm upset.
Do my facts
I
and
wanna see
logic hurt
kids
your
being fucking
feelings?
trafficked, dude.
Seems
The
like my
hell is
facts
that?
and logic are hurting your puny little feelings.
I don't care if you make fun of me, dude. All I'm saying is I don't want to.
I'm not making fun of you. I'm observing a fact that you are very triggered.
That's what you are doing. You're trying to make fun of me and gaining.
Well,
some
you're
fucking
triggered
points
right
on
now, and you're
your
not
end,
letting me speak on my
you're
own
also-
show.
Dude, I'm okay. I'm not chill because I'm not okay with children being trafficked.
Okay, well, I've got great news. There weren't hundreds and thousands of children being trafficked. That number, the 300,000 number that ICE points to a lot, is actually a misunderstanding of what administratively missing means versus actually missing. Administratively missing in terms of ICE custody just simply means that ICE is not allowed to contact that child again. And so what that 300,000 number comes from is a memo that ICE put out saying, oh, we don't know what is happening with these children.
Excuses.
But it's not actually, quote unquote, missing.
Yeah, it is.
Those people are put with a foster parent and
Because
or
there were millions and millions of people coming with hundreds of thousands of children, and hundreds of thousands of them were misplaced and trafficked.
that's
So,
not true.
I
You don't have any
care- no,
evidence for that.
Stop. There's 10 to 15 million, maybe 18 to 20 million that have been trapped across the border or
No,
have
not at all, sir.
illegally
Not
swim
at
across the
all.
border in 4 years. It's
Where's
like
your evidence
10,
for that?
15, 20,000 a day, dude.
Where's your
Come
evidence
on,
for
man.
that?
We have cameras and fucking drones now, dude. So
Okay, so just could you point me in a direction where like an outlet has done an investigation on these missing children?
listen, it's just the
Well, it feels like it's a lot of vibes that you're doing. You're like, and I
it's not-
admit
no,
there
stop.
isn't, no, it
Stop.
is vibes,
Stop.
and that's okay. That's
No,
okay. A lot
stop.
of Americans do your type of politics, sir.
You'll use any excuse now because it's serious. This
It's
is
not
serious.
serious. This accusation would
Yeah.
require
Okay.
evidence, and you don't
Yeah,
have
child
any
trafficking,
evidence. You
that's
just
not
have
serious.
feelings.
But we want Epstein files. Come on, bitch.
Sir, could you please stop calling me a bitch? I know you're inclined to call people that when you're seriously feeling a lot of pressure, but I would prefer if you call me
I'm not-
sir
okay.
or dog or dude
All right.
or
Yeah,
anything
yeah,
under
yeah,
the
okay.
sun.
Okay, then we'll keep it civil.
No, let's keep it civil because I am having a civil
Absolutely.
conversation. I'm trying to, anyways. So, to address your
Well, you
issue
try
with
to
the
pull-
border,
See, the
I
thing
want to
is,
address your
you
issue
try
with
to
the
pull
border,
wool over
sir.
people's eyes, and that's not working for me because
Huh?
you can't just bypass hundreds of thousands of children being.
Yeah, and I'm trying to address
adopted.
it, but you don't want me to. It seems like you're afraid of me to address what you're talking
So
about.
you address it by bypassing it.
No, I didn't. I was going to directly engage with it, but
Okay, go ahead.
yeah, so if you have a concern about sex trafficking and the border, which, valid concern, then did you support the Langford bill in 2022, which would massively introduce new funds into the Border Patrol Agency, but also make it harder to claim amnesty? That was a bill by Joe Biden, by the way.
Yeah, the Langford bill.
Mhm.
I really don't care about that
Why?
because by the
No,
time
hold
that
on.
came
That is
around,
inconsistent
there had
as
already been
fuck.
there already been over 1 million.
Okay,
stuff
sir, don't you want to, so
So-
like if a boat is leaking, don't you want to fill that hole before you address all the water in your boat?
Listen, I've never heard of that bill. Okay, to be
Okay.
honest.
You're okay.
So
Not a lot of
so,
right-wing media talked about it because it was a very bipartisan bill, and the only reason it didn't pass was because Donald
Okay.
Trump signaled that he didn't want it to pass. It was going to pass the House and the Senate until Trump made that decision to say, don't vote on it or I'm going to primary you.
okay, that's neither here nor there. Why
Well,
did
it's
Joe
pretty
Biden
important.
strike all of Donald Trump's border policies his first day in office?
I don't think he did.
Yes, he did.
What policies did he revoke?
Stay in Mexico bill.
I've never heard of that bill. I'll look it up, but the stay in
Sure.
Mexico bill.
Yeah, they don't. When they come across, they get shipped right back.
HR 273, Remain in Mexico policy, migrant protection protocols. Following. Oh.
And that was just one
So
of many.
no, actually what happened was it got struck
Listen,
down.
I don't want to
Yeah,
hear
what
any more
happened
jokes.
was
I
it
don't
got,
wanna hear
well, I'm
any
telling
more
you
of
what
your-
happened, sir. What happened is the
You
Supreme
you
Court ruled
struck
that it was,
That's all that happened.
the Supreme Court ruled that it was unconstitutional.
So it was constitutional under Trump, but unconstitutional under Biden. Funny. Like it
Listen,
was
sir, do you
planned.
want the president to ignore the Supreme Court?
No, not at all.
Yeah. So the
But
Supreme
it's
Court,
also
and it looks
funny
like
that
what
as soon as
it's
Biden
actually
is
kind of,
in power, that this is unconstitutional all of a sudden when it was in place for
well,
three
sir,
and a half
it was,
years.
no, it
or
wasn't in
most of
place
them
for
did.
3.5 years. It was implemented January 2019, right before Trump left.
Oh, okay. Okay. Just to make it cheaper on American taxpayers, so we don't have to pay for illegal immigrants that Democrats love paying for and love siphoning money to.
Do you have any
you know,
proof we're siphoning money off to these groups?
Do I have any proof? I mean, the Child Leering Center is one.
Yeah, so did you know
California passing a
did you know
bill
that
to keep that kid from exposing them? That's
no,
two.
what that bill prevented people from
That
doing.
bill is to keep people
No,
from
it prevented people from
looking into
harassing. It
government
prevented
corruption.
people from harassing hospice centers and daycares. That's all it did. It didn't prevent investigative journalism from happening, which Nick Shirley doesn't even do. So that's actually interesting. Do you know Nick Shirley is actually funded by a lot of right-wing groups?
Yeah, so what?
Well,
He
do
exposes
you
government
think
fraud.
so do you think it's okay to call yourself like an independent journalist when you're being funded by right-wing groups like that? I don't think that's independent
Call yourself a
journalism.
right-wing journalist then.
Well, he doesn't do
If
that.
it's
He says
exposing
he's
fraud,
independent.
it's a benefit for us.
Well, he's actually
Why would
committing
you be
fraud by
against it?
not
Why would you
disclosing
care
his
about
donors.
left or right? See,
Yeah,
you're,
by
you're
not
stuck in this left
well,
or right-wing fucking bullshit that
sir, by
you
not
just allow, you just allow
disclosing
the
your
government to
funders, you are
take
committing
your
fraud.
shit and then fucking do nothing with it or give it to people that don't deserve it. That's
Okay, so
crazy.
I'm going to go back to my original point. By not disclosing who you're funded by, that's a form of fraud, in my opinion. So he's committing fraud while supposedly exposing it. Kind of interesting. But I do want to get back.
No, stop. Just because right wing funds this kid to go ask questions and expose fraud does not make it a right wing fraud, dude.
No, it
Don't
does
pull that-
because it's
No,
astroturfing the
no,
idea as if it is
It's
natural.
exposing fraud. It's just like you call Elon Musk Hitler and a fascist, just like you call Donald Trump a
Okay.
fascist and Hitler.
Okay, so we're gonna
when he exposes
rewind
fraud,
back.
and
I think we
you
were
just
getting
wanna-
somewhere
you just
earlier
wanna
with the
allow
Langford
fraud
bill.
to continue in a circular motion. No.
Yeah, so
no, that's
what
not okay
fraud
with me.
did Nick Shirley expose? Since you want to talk about fraud, let's talk about it. What fraud did Nick Shirley expose and how many arrests has it led to?
Oh, well, I mean, in Minnesota, at least, there's plenty of the daycare centers that have no kids in the business, have no
So you
employees.
think that would result in like an arrest, right? But there
and
has
they
been
make-
no
they get
arrest.
millions in taxpayer funds for
Okay.
what?
So let's talk about the
For
Leering
what
Center first.
exactly?
Yeah, let me address the Leering Center first. So the Leering Center was already
not just the
under
Leering Center.
investigation. Yeah,
He
I know, but I
exposed
want to address each
dozens
claim as
of
they come up.
places in Minnesota and dozens of places in California. And
Okay,
he's
so
even
let me
stepped up to
address
the
that, sir.
California
Again,
Senate
grievance
and Congress
politics, not
that
providing a
passed a bill
solution,
to try
doesn't
to
want to
keep
know
him
the
out of-
facts, just wants to
of
complain.
exposing these people.
He didn't expose anybody.
Yeah, he exposed plenty of people.
I have a
you just
question.
refuse to
Okay,
see
I
it
actually have a question.
because
This
you're
is an
elected.
interesting. I
You're-
have a
you're so
question. I have a
far left.
question. I have a
You
question,
want
sir.
to think that the Democrats are the fixers. No, they're fixing our slavery. They are enslaving us with embezzling our tax money.
Okay.
Just like the Republicans
So if you
are.
owned a
Republicans
daycare,
do the
if
same
you owned a
fucking thing.
daycare, if you owned a daycare and you saw some weird kid with security guards behind him saying, "I want
Yeah,
into your
if I owned a
daycare," would
daycare
you
with no
allow
kids
them
in
into
it,
the
and someone
daycare?
asks a question,
Would you allow
of course
answer the
I'm gonna take
question?
them away.
Answer the question. Would you allow them into your daycare?
Which daycare had kids in them? None.
You have no proof
So
of that.
Don't try
You have
to
no
use kids
proof
as
of
a
that.
fucking blanket, like
You
you're
have
doing
no
with
proof
the,
of
with
that.
the immigration shit.
Sir,
You try
I
to
think
use
you're
kids
just
as a
soying
blanket
out. I think you
and
just wanted to call the
immigrants as
soy
a
out, to
blanket?
be
Come on, man.
honest. I don't think you actually wanted to talk to me. I think you just wanted to come on here and do your grievance politics.
No,
And Americans
I
are
think you
sick
just-
of that,
I think you
dude.
just wanna- you
They
just
saw
want
how much
hoity-toity-
they're
you
sick
just
of this
want
grievance
hoity-toity people to talk
politics.
to you to fulfill your fantasies that Democrats are going to fix this. Wrong.
Well, I know they are, but you haven't let me get a single word in. Barely.
I have. I've let you talk.
Well, congratulations. I should be the one letting you talk, considering it's my fucking show.
Well, you took the phone call, so I mean, we're in
So,
a.
yeah, we
conundrum
agree.
now.
You are a big giant baby, unable to actually talk about politics. We agree.
I'm not a red baby. I'm not.
No,
I'm not
you're a
right.
big
I don't like
giant
the
baby
red- I
that
don't
cries
like
and
red
pisses
or blue
himself,
of-
who
of
cries
our
and
politics,
pisses
man.
himself
They're
when
both
he
fucked.
doesn't actually get to do his filibuster. That's what you are.
No, you just think that you're gonna fix everything because
Dude, you got to change your
know,
fucking
that-
diaper,
that
man.
You're the party of whatever the
Do you
heck
use the
think
same?
are,
Do you use the
but
same
it's not
brand
true.
as Donald
It's
Trump?
just not true. And it's not true on the right either. The right or the left are the wings of the same bird.
Okay.
And I hope
sir.
many people are listening.
Yeah,
So
I think a lot of people have tuned out because they're sick of this partisanry. They're sick of this partisanry, sir, that is ever present on your side.
I'm not on either side. I'm right in the middle. I
No,
wanna
you're a
split the
right
bird
wing
in half
lunatic that
and
got
not
disappointed
have
by
any more
Trump.
wings.
No, I'll tell you
No more-
exactly
no
what you
more
are.
flying
You
to
are a
other
right wing.
countries
You are a
or-
right wing. You are a right wing agitator who got disappointed by Trump, and now you
Wrong.
want the rest of the world to feel bad. Well, guess what, buddy?
No.
I actually provide solutions where all you do is bitch. Americans are tired of bitching.
solutions
They are
are-
tired
your
of this
solutions
exact
are
same
reciprocal
politic
with
which
the
has
politicians.
plagued our entire political spectrum. They are sick of people like you.
No, that's wrong.
They are.
People like me are what change politics. People like
Not
you
at
are
all.
what keep them the same.
Okay, tell me, what policy would you change in terms of healthcare?
Number
Fucking
one,
crickets,
if you-
ladies and gentlemen.
Shut up and let me talk, or don't ask
Fucking
me a question.
crickets, dude.
No crickets. If you are employed by a company in America, you should have health care up to 70, 80, 90%.
Holy fuck, it's almost like that policy is already in effect.
Wrong.
Really?
Right to work state, the insurance companies can deny you. I'm talking about
That's not true.
undeniable insurance up to 70, 80, 90%.
Yeah, so
Not
that policy
the-
is
not the
already
policies
effect in
we have in
multiple
place now,
states, and
because
it's
they are not what needs to
so
be in
how is
place.
that, sir? How is that going to lower healthcare costs?
It's okay. When we pay healthcare every year, it's pulled into a pot. Everyone is not pulling 70, 80, 90% every year, right?
Yeah, but I just think this issue would be much easier addressed with a public option.
Well, listen, you say public option, private option.
Do you know what a public option is?
It's sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, you pay for your own insurance, and
Nope.
it's the same. Yeah.
No, it's not paying. So a public here, I'll actually
provider, and
you want
pay
me to
for it
tell you? No, that's not what a
separately
public
from
option is.
your employer.
No, that's not what a public option is. So a public option would be government-based insurance. So what that would mean is that there is a free, cheaper solution that consumers can go to, which will decrease the price of health insurance because now they have to compete with an option that is free and they're not going to charge these exuberant amount. But it also has a separate benefit in that there are more people in the pool, that pot you just talked about. There are more people in that pot, so therefore they are not going to charge as much because they're making the same amount of money.
Same difference.
Well, no, what you said, you just asked for.
I mean, tit for tat, man. Same difference. Listen,
Oh, so you agree?
The healthcare system is what is almost the most broken system in our country.
Yeah,
because it's
and that's
all
why I
about
provide
profit.
solutions
If you don't
for
have
it.
money, you don't live. If you're sick, you don't have money.
Well,
you
there
don't
we
live.
go. This addresses your issue with the healthcare system, that it's all just for profit. Therefore, if with government-backed insurance, it wouldn't just be for profit in terms of the government-backed insurance, and it also wouldn't just be for profit
and then
for
we
the
open
private
we open the
insurers.
gates for socialists and communists. So
Yeah, I don't think that's the
everyone,
case. Did we go socialist and communist when we implemented the post office?
nope, because that is a service that we implemented and that we pay for. And yeah, it
Yeah,
is a
so why can't
socialistic
healthcare
system.
be the...
So,
So,
hey,
wait, hold on.
listen, if it was that easy, I would snap my finger and it would happen.
Well, it needs public
But it
support.
won't.
That's what it
And no
needs.
matter
It
how
can be that
much
easy.
we argue about it, it isn't going to change because
Yeah, see, I think
there's
this is
so
your
much
issue.
progress
You're
being
very
made in it.
nihilist about the world. You're very nihilist. You don't believe in
No,
hope.
I'm not very nihilist.
Well,
I'm just
listen
very
to you.
honest.
You think there's like
I'm just very
millions
honest
of
about it.
people being sex trafficked. You think there are,
There are.
billions dollars worth of fraud coming from your
There
paycheck.
are.
I think you're very
Dude,
nihilistic, sir.
You're just like, you can't just shade away.
Well, I've looked into these
all the
cases,
stuff
but I don't think
that happens in our
all the
government
facts and the
and our
data that I
politics.
bring to you, you're just going to discount as woke bullshit. So I'm trying to reason with you on your level. I'm trying
Okay.
to. I think there's an issue where you're very nihilistic about the world. Do you think in the next 50 years America will exist?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're the
See,
most
there's
pow-
that hope.
We're the
There's
most
that
powerful
hope,
country
brother.
in the world, dude. Of course, we're still gonna be here. We're gonna be here
Exactly.
for
We're
hundreds
still
of
gonna
years.
be here, okay? So it's
Yeah,
not the end of the
and we're
world.
still gonna be
All these
corrupt,
immigrants that
just
came
like
in, it
just
wasn't
like
the
any
end of the
other
world.
country. And without people like, okay, honestly, without people like you and me, without discussing it, and without bringing reality to front, then it won't change because it takes discussion. It takes this
I
type
agree.
of interaction to expose it. But dude, you can't cover it up either, man. You
I
can't
agree.
just say, "Oh, this and that."
That's why I
this
was
and
proud
that is
of
gonna be
Biden
fine.
when
Oh
yeah,
no,
that's why I
there's
was proud of
there's
Tim
no child
Walz.
sex trafficking, but we want the Jeffrey Epstein files. You know, there's no child sex trafficking, but there's 650,000 kids missing. You know, on just the Texas border. You know, it's just baffling to me that we can, you know, just get so differing information and opinions, and the fact that our government can still do like a head count per state, and then gerrymander the districts, whether it's, you know, Republicans or Democrats, wherever state you're in, according to you know, illegal immigrants, and each side uses them to their benefit. Texas did the worst in Houston and Dallas. You know, those illegal immigrants aren't voting Republican. The fuck? But they use them as cattle for their fucking count. So, and the same in Virginia.
Yeah, so I see people that are coming to this country. I don't think they're evil. I think they just want to make a better life for themselves. And I understand, there was an issue with the border in 2022 or 2020 to 2024 that would have been solved with the Langford bill. But I understand there's an issue. That's why I think there should be real policy passed instead of just giving the executive more
issue was that
power.
they didn't do anything at the border. They just
Huh?
let them through. They did not protect the border under Biden. You know that.
That's
That's
not
why
true.
10
There were
to 15
No,
million
there were many
people,
encounters and no, not at all.
10 to 15 million people
Oh,
came
is that?
across the border
Yeah.
illegally.
So that's actually
Maybe
not
more,
true.
maybe
The amount
18
of
to
people
20
that
million.
came, yeah, so the amount of people that came
So,
into the country under Biden
yeah,
was about 3
and
million.
it changes our republic, dude.
No, not
It's
at
not.
all.
it's not
It's a republic
good.
by the people for the
It's
people.
not good either way, whether it's left or right.
No, it
Just
is,
because you
sir.
wanted,
I think
just because you
I think
wanted to
I understand
affect
why
the
you're upset.
Republicans negatively doesn't make it right.
Well, the Republicans are the worst party by far. But what I'm going to say,
I mean, you can say that
they
there's
are.
tit for
I mean,
tat
it's
for that too.
obvious. What bills have the
No,
Republicans
no, it
passed?
isn't. No, it's
What
not
bills that
obvious.
help you that the Republicans passed?
I don't want to. No, it's not bills. It's,
No, it is. That's how
Oh.
our country is ran, sir.
Yeah, you say that, but it's also it's mostly action. So, the actions
No,
of each
that's
party. I mean, the
that's
reason
just what
why
you're used
the
to
reason
with
why
Trump,
was
but Trump
elected
is
in a
breaking the
landslide is
law.
because your party's actions. Okay,
Yeah,
not because
and my
of the
party's
bill.
actions
Because
have been
there were
commendable.
very few bills under Biden. Biden had an auto pen, and that's it. So
Yeah, so
the
did
bills
Trump.
that were
So
put
did
in place
Trump.
were probably not even put in place by him,
Yeah,
because
you
he
have no
can't even
evidence for
form
that,
a
actually.
literal sentence. So
You have no evidence
that
for that, actually. It's just a right-wing
yeah,
conspiracy. This is why
well,
you
watch,
are on the
watch
right wing,
the
sir.
watch the debate then, and
You
blah
are on
blah
the
blah,
right
blah,
wing.
and
I just
try
want you to
just
know
you
that.
go ahead
Like,
and try to write down what he said.
at the
Because
very
I mean,
least,
that's
could
crazy.
you
We had a
could you be
president
honest and say you're
that
right
couldn't
wing
even
and not
talk.
independent? You're not independent. You are right wing.
I'm a right-leaning independent because
No,
the
no, you are
Democrats,
very
the
MAGA.
Democrats are fucking
You've
nuts
bought
these
into a
days.
lot of conspiracy theories, and I've tried to note them and I've tried to bring up facts, but every time I do, you get upset and you move on to another topic. And I understand a lot of this stuff is kind of, it might be new to you, but that doesn't mean you should reject it.
Well, it's just that Joe Biden is not even able to
Okay.
hold a conversation. So
That's great. Neither is
that's,
Trump. Did you
that's
hear
enough.
about
That's
the
enough
Islamic
about Joe
Republic
Biden.
of Japan?
Because he's not the
Sir, did you hear about the new threat of the Islamic Republic of Japan?
No.
Yeah, that's something Trump said. There's no Islamic Republic of Japan.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Yeah. So you're telling me Joe Biden has dementia. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is creating new states, new countries.
Hey, I never said I was a Trumper, but like I said, Trump over Kamala all day, every day.
Trump over Kamala as he continues to
sure.
enrich himself.
For sure.
As he continues
for
to
sure.
enrich himself.
It'll be
Anyways,
it'll be
man,
another-
I
another
don't think we're
week,
gonna agree,
another
and I
week.
would love to continue this, but I do have to move on. So, what I would just say is like, just research these things more, and instead of just like watching a YouTube short about it, like actually look into why they say all of these children are missing, and you'll see that it's much more nuanced and
Because of
much
the
more
open border
complex.
policy.
No.
That's
not
why.
the reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
Open
more
border
immigrants
policy.
that come in
You
through
don't-
ports
you
of
don't
entries
stop
than
them.
the border.
You don't stop them and process them, then yeah, the open border policy is the problem. So
I
yeah.
don't believe in
So
an open
everyone,
border.
have a
I
nice
don't
day.
believe in an open
And,
border.
hey man, I hope JD Vance gets elected next.
My clone is
cycle.
not going to do that.
So.
Unfortunately, he's not going to do that. He's too uncharismatic. Unfortunately, I have the charisma chip. He got the dumb fuck chip. So, anyways, have a great day. I love talking to my fellow American, but you do seem steeped in some disinformation. So, well, wouldn't you know, he hung up after I was trying to be kind and understanding. Anyways, we did hit our goal for the day, so I guess we can. It is very late right now. I'll let you guys vote on the right tweet of the day. It's super late. I wish I could answer more calls, but since it's so late, I usually stream only like 3 hours, but since it's so late, I will probably end the stream here. Don't go anywhere though. Don't go anywhere. We will have the right toid of the day vote tomorrow. Just because it is so late. But with that being said, I just want you guys to know that I really appreciate it. This has been my biggest stream to date, so I really appreciate that. You guys are awesome. I know I've got a lot of right-wing trolls in there saying all this horrible stuff, but I really appreciate you guys, and I very much value you. So, with that being said, let me... Magar Lonely Losers. Yeah, I agree with that. If you guys haven't liked and subscribed already, remember to do that, because I will be live. I'm live every day. I do a stream every day. I do the stream every day. So, I wanted to give a shout out to all the donators. Shavila, Jen, Aussie Welder. Thank you guys so much. You guys have activated the Rightoid of the Day tomorrow. We love the Canadians. We love the Canadians. Anyways, how do you sleep? Pretty well at night. Rest in peace, Charles Kirkinator. Yeah, rest in peace. Anyways, I am going to get out of here. Don't go anywhere though. I will be raiding into one of my favorite streamers that I think you guys would like. And I do this pretty often where I raid into people. So tomorrow we'll be voting immediately on the Rightoid of the Day. Thank you so much, Nathaniel. And with that being said, let's dance. That's a great question, Captain Howdy. I wonder that myself too. Anyways, I will be live tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. for my members only episode. Also, I will be live at 5 p.m. as always. With that being said, let's dance. Have a great day, guys. Thank you guys so much for the love and support. You guys are great. Hey, there we go. Let's dance. Bye, guys. You guys have a great day.